it's working, Hunter. Can you believe it? Yeah, because this is the first time we've streamed on the new computer, right?
Oh, that is true.
So, yeah. Hopefully they can hear us because I'm a little worried about that. But I'm sure that you guys will come in droves and tell us how we're doing, all that type of stuff. But yeah, so like every single week, I'm going to post the stream on Twitter, so I'm not ignoring you guys, but hello. I hope that you guys enjoy this video. It's Calxiyn and Hunter here, obviously, doing our live stream discussion. If you guys enjoy, you should check out the Patreon to see our reaction early and all that type of stuff. But for now, we are going to discuss the episode. So yeah. What an episode, guys. Okay, so clearly they can hear us. They are responding that we are being heard. So that's good. But yeah, so I'm just going to quickly post about this, and then we will get on with our stuff.
Do you mind if I start by overanalyzing this opening joke that...
Sure,
okay,
go ahead.
So it starts...
Take it away, Hunter, while I post about this.
It starts with... I don't know if it's... Okay, I don't know which buttons move. Right, scroll now.
This is where the joke starts.
Yes, so it starts with just... Robin telling a kind of anecdote of the first time Joanna got her ass beat in a fair fight.
Yep.
And I'm like, okay, who did she lose a fight with? And I have two ideas. I think that it's either with May or Fiona.
Okay.
Because I think that Joanna and Robin grew up on like Mantle proper. And then Fiona grew up in like the slums near the mine.
So
and
Fiona
May
can cut a bitch is what you're trying to
Yes,
tell.
and so this probably happened when they all went first to Atlas Academy. Like we've had like theorized that they've gone in the past and they were signed up in a group or maybe through like the initiation ceremony. Mm-hmm. I imagine that, I don't know, what do you imagine the initiation ceremony for Atlas? Like they send you into the mines or they...
Maybe, because like, I guess you're right, because with Ozpin they send them into the forest, but what do they do for, the other schools?
Mines,
we don't really know, right? So yeah, that's interesting. So you're basically positing that Fiona is the one that
Joanna's ass, and that's when...
You know what? I could see it all out.
Because it's kind of just like, because I imagined that like Joanna and Robin were like childhood friends, and they grew up, and Joanna was like really scrappy and would always win fights, and then Fiona just destroys her. Like, I imagine Fiona's able to take people's weapons from them very easily with her semblance, and I think that's going to come up later in a fight scene. Because we haven't
she
had
just sucks up somebody's weapon.
I imagine if there's ever going to get like some maybe like, well, Cinder, as we know, is going down to Atlas. If there's a Cinder versus the Happy Huntress fight, I imagine like Cinder keeps on making new swords and
Cal,
Fiona just keeps on grabbing them.
Thank you.
It's a wig.
I'm Jean Arc today. Hello. Yeah, I'm Jean. Yes, we did get a new song. Hello, everybody. Now we can finally read the chat. So yes, I'm Jean today. I've been Salem, Oscar, Penny, and Jean.
Yes.
And I'm running out of wigs.
So far, nothing bad happened
next week for my
Jean.
birthday, I am going to wear my natural hair, and I'm going to be... me turning 21. So yeah, that's next week. Okay, but yes, guys, this episode, we laughed, we cried, we had a good time. This episode was pretty wild.
Well, okay, I would like to point out that at points when I was crying, you were laughing because you're a sick bastard who enjoys when you're right too much.
You guys need to see the reaction. So the reaction is up on Patreon and it's up for YouTube membership members if you guys want to see it early. But there are certain things that we got right in this episode, and I took a little too much enjoyment in getting those things correct.
At least you acknowledge you enjoyed it a little bit too much. Normally people don't like giggle and do a little jig and clap and laugh when a child's being...
But yeah, you guys will see that next week if you don't see it this week. But I would recommend that you guys, check out our reaction. Become a patron. You guys can see all of the stuff that we, had our first impressions of this episode. So yeah, so Jacques is just dealing with the fly, which is so funny. And then she's like, tough crowd tonight.
I like that the fact that he's in jail really takes all of his mysticism and aura.
I really like Robin.
She's great.
I just really okay, come on. Oh gosh, what is this? Windows pictures. Let me just do what I'm supposed to. Okay, so it was sort of interesting because at the beginning of this, whole thing, at the beginning of this season, I was sort of thinking that Robin and Crow were gonna be this very sister-brother relationship, they're bros. all of that sort. You know what I mean? That they are like gonna be sort of a brother-sister relationship. They're gonna be pals, all that stuff. But in the reaction, I was just like, wait a minute, is there some shipping going on? So, like, what do you guys think, right? Because I could see this as, like, you know, two siblings trying to make each other smile in bad situations. Like, I could see that, but this does remind me of shipping scenes that I have seen in other shows.
True.
Like, the very, like, oh, he smiles, did I win yet? Is a very common, like, small romance genre convention, like, little, like, micro trope, if you want to call it that. We're not supposed to use the word trope.
Happens.
But you know what I mean?
I disagree with your professor who says that.
A thing that happens very often in romance stories and stuff. And so as much as I thought that it was supposed to be brother and sister stuff, I see shipping things going on here. And I don't know how I feel. I mean, it'd be nice if they could just address, like, that as, like, if they want to do this with Crow, like, as much as Crow likes Robin, he also liked Clover the same amount, and it's like, we stand a bisexual icon. Like, I would like them to work that in somewhere if this romance does become canon. Like, Crow's just like, I thought I would never love again after I lost Clover, but, you know, something like that.
But I guess
right?
you're a good replacement.
Yeah, Robin's just a replacement. Yeah, that's a big yikes. But yeah, I don't know. Why does everything
Lady
need
Clover?
to be a ship? I mean, everything doesn't, but at the same time, we also have to recognize that there are times where, like, writers do very common, like, there's only one bed, like, tropes like that, right? And so we also have to sort of recognize that there may be those sorts of hints in the writing.
Someone in the chat
as well.
says that their name is Jailbirds, which I think is an amazing
really like
ship
that.
name.
But yeah, I just look at her and
Excellent.
she's like, do I win? Right? And so I don't know.
She's stretching,
whatever
first
their
off.
relationship is, I do like whatever's going on here. I don't necessarily think it's romantic yet, but I just like what's going on here.
I'm
anyway.
at that level,
You know?
where I don't think it's romantic for two reasons. One, because, like, right now, as he's talking about this, he's looking mournfully at the badge of the last person he felt very strongly for.
Yeah.
Which is kind of like the RWBY equivalent of trying to pick someone up at their wife's funeral.
It would be like John looking at the sash and everybody being like, hey, but Weiss is still here. You know what I mean? Like, it's a little too early for Crow to move on, in my opinion. But I think it's interesting, though, because like, Robin says it wasn't your fault. And, like, this has been, I guess, like, people have, like, oh, Crow's so stupid, how could he, blah, 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 blah. Right? Like, there's been a lot of criticism of Crow working with Tyrion, and people are like, how does Crow not think he's done anything wrong? But he does acknowledge that ultimately the outcome was shit either way, but he still made a deal with the dark. Like, I really liked this line to sort of address that, because I've personally always been like, well, listen, Clover didn't give him a choice. He could have flown away, but then Robin wouldn't, I don't know, like, that would have put Clover in danger. Like, he was trying to stay there to convince Clover to capture Tyrion instead of running away from the fight. You know what I mean? It wasn't the smartest thing that anyone's ever done, but I don't necessarily, like, Crow has gotten a lot of hate for making that particular choice. Like, it's not logical in the emotional moment, if that makes sense. But it always sort of made sense to me how it went down. But at least now, Crow's not like, oh, well, you know, everything would have been fine if it wasn't for fucking Clover. Like, he also acknowledges that, like, he did bad things himself. Hi, Arnold. So, yeah. And so that's what I sort of think is interesting about all this, right? But yeah, that's what he's saying. It was all happening so fast, and Clover just, because that's what he says. He says, we could have worked against Tyrion if Clover just, right? Like,
it's almost like he agrees with the criticisms of him.
Yeah.
It's like, people be like, why did you do that? That makes no sense.
Yeah,
and he's
I don't
sitting
think
here asking, like, why did I do that? It makes no sense.
Yeah, like, Crow did not have good options. I totally agree that it was Clover's fault. Like, most of it was definitely Clover's fault, right?
And it's also like, he has to pick between his, you know, his nieces and the team and the whole plan versus this guy who he probably likes but only just recently met.
Yeah, that's another thing too, right? And so there's just a lot of factors. And like, the thing is that Crow could have either fought two of them, right? Like, both, like 1v2, or they could have 2v1 Clover, right? Like, that was the whole thing. And so he didn't really have a great, like, great options, you know what I mean? And then everyone's like, Robin started the fight in the first place, and I'm just like,
I guess that is true.
It probably wasn't great all around. Probably wasn't great for Ironwood to do that while they were transporting Tyrion to prison and all of that.
This is a really
stuff.
great line where he's like, I could have been around somebody, anybody,
Yeah.
and not like negatively. Oh yeah,
Like
my
without a
semblance making it
semblance,
complicated.
right?
And I think you can. I feel like that's like a weirdly platonic way to take it.
Yeah.
But I do think
he just wanted a friend, and I feel like that this could be a reference to Summer and stuff like that, to Summer and
Really?
Ty and Raven.
Oh, I guess so.
Right, and how
Yeah,
he
yeah.
has been abandoned by them, and he blames himself. At least
Oscar,
I think so. That's
even Ruby,
my opinion.
that he couldn't help them all along when they were trekking through not Mantle, not Solitas. Good lord.
Mistral?
Mistral, thank you.
Yeah.
It was M, and I forgot it.
And so, yeah, believe it or not, I know a little of what that's like. So I think that this is
Yes.
super, super interesting, right? Because Robin, I'm pretty sure she could turn off her true semblance, right? But I guess people's fear with Robin is that she could do that at any time. And so if she doesn't trust someone, like, you know what I mean? Like, say you think sorry, Hunter, I just, like, whacked your hair. Say you think your partner is cheating or something, right? Robin could just use the semblance on them. And, like, even if it came back that the person wasn't cheating, that's still, like, you thought they were cheating enough to use your semblance, right? And so the semblance thing, I feel like, can be really tricky for Robin, and just having, like, general relationships with people. At least I think so, because at any point in time, like, Robin, to know the truth about someone, can just ask them, but at the same time, asking them proves that you don't trust them, and trust is the foundation of a relationship. You know what I mean? I don't know how to sort of explain that any better, but
No,
yeah.
I think you did a good job. I also think that this is kind of contrasting or aligning her with Clover, because Clover and Crow's thing was that they could relate, or their semblances work well with one another. And that kind of implied the whole existence that they could live together and be in a relationship and it would work out. This is a little different. It's not that, but it's like, hey, I understand.
I think it's
my
more
semblance
like
complicates relationships.
Semblance, like your semblance is bad, my semblance also has bad things, you know? And so I feel like that it is definitely...
It's less
sort of
aligning them as soulmates and more being like, hey, bro, I get it.
Yeah, and I think that's nice.
Which is why I feel like it's less shippy and more friendly. Although I will admit that it could go either way at this point.
Yeah. So here's what was interesting, right? Because we were all like, okay, there is no way that hacking Penny is not going to go terribly wrong and Watts is going to somehow betray Ironwood. But they were actually very smart. It seems like that Watts set it up, and as soon as Ironwood got the fucking Pac-Man joystick, right, or whatever, like those joysticks you plug into your TV, right, as soon as he got the Nintendo Switch controllers, he
I like the implication that the only thing you need to control Penny, a human being, is just one control stick and one button.
Right, but that's what I'm thinking, right, is that Watts set everything up, and then they're like, okay, now that Ironwood has the controls, they threw Watts back in prison. However, I don't think that means that this can't still go horribly wrong, because as soon as Watts is able to break out and get his little rings back or gets access to like any sort of technology, he's going to take Penny to Salem. I think that that's probably fair to say. So Ironwood did, in a sense, solve the problem that we were foreseeing, right, about keeping Watts around. The problem that we were foreseeing last episode. However, is it not going to be a problem later? It definitely is going to be a problem
I also
later,
think
in
that
my opinion.
something's interesting with Watts is that we don't know what his semblance is yet.
Well, okay, so they actually said, they have said that Watts never unlocked his semblance because he thought that he was smart enough to be without it, basically. One of those good old things. And so someone in my Discord server actually had the theory that Watts would be in a desperate situation and finally unlock his semblance because he's able, like, the character development for Watts here, if that makes sense, is him realizing that he is not strong enough to take on Ironwood or anyone else without a semblance, and he actually unlocks his, and with whatever he's doing, because, like, we've heard that semblances unlock based on the situation, right, at times. Like, when Nora gets hit by lightning, it's like, on one hand, is that how she found out that she had the semblance, or did her body react to getting hit by lightning by rescuing her, by giving her that semblance, right? It's a very complicated thing of how the semblances come out. But we have seen, like, certain situations situations, like somebody has a semblance that is clearly in a response to trauma, like Ren.
Yes.
Like Ren being able to cover them. That's what Ren needed in that particular moment. And so it would be interesting if Watts unlocks his semblance and that is a semblance for that moment. But I don't know what that would be. So yeah.
I'm like, maybe like Ironwood takes him off the cell and is about to execute him, but like he learns that he can like, he jams the gun maybe with his mind or whatever.
I think it would be cool to have a technology-based
Yes.
semblance, like interrupting technology or something.
That's what
like
I
that.
think, that maybe that's how he gets back control at the end. He like, it's like, I don't know, do you think that that would be cheap story writing, just like semblance ex machina?
I think it depends on what it is and like the limitations it has, right? And ultimately, Watts' intellect is his semblance and he just doesn't realize it. Well, that's not what the writer said. Though I do like that idea.
Yeah.
The writer specifically said something in a live stream that Ironwood's semblance is like the metal or whatever, and then Watts like doesn't have a semblance because he was too cool for school type of thing. And I do agree that Watts not having a semblance is more interesting, but at the same time it's like Watts is dying soon, so I don't mind if he unlocks his semblance and then just ends up dying anyway. You know what I mean? Like in a moment of desperation, Watts tries to unlock his semblance, but even his semblance is never enough. He's just been outmatched.
We need some kind of way of him getting out of there. And I'm like, either he has his ring on him, or like, oh, it looks like he still has his rings.
Oh. Did he have his rings before?
Oh.
Because what if he
they forgot to take them off.
What if he had his rings back on when he was hacking Penny? Okay, guys, does anyone know? We may have to do a little bit of an investigation right here. Does anybody know if Watts had his rings inside of the cell, or if they just made Watts put them on to hack Penny, but then they didn't take them off?
Or maybe they just didn't realize that
You know what
his
I mean?
rings were like his weapons.
Because I feel like they weren't on before. Okay, so what we're going to do is we are going to open up a picture from last volume, but I don't want you guys to see my lovely desktop. So we will look around and see if we can find one from before. So let's see if we can find a picture of Watts. Okay, well, those are his hands. That's interesting. And this one, he's covering his hands with his head.
Oh.
Yes, he did. No, he didn't. Okay, so I don't know. You guys are saying different, conflicting reports. Yeah. Okay, so I'm trying to find an image of how many times have we seen them? I don't even remember.
It's interesting that they hide his... What about in the scenes where he's hacking
He's
Penny?
typing? I just want to see... Oh no!
Oh!
Okay!
They're not there!
Guys!
Oh!
Look at this! His rings don't seem to be on his hand in this screenshot.
Oh, so he got him back and those idiots!
Did they not
forgot
forget to take it off? Okay, because somebody's saying it may be an animation error. It may be, like, I'm not sure. Does he have rings on both hands?
Or
look
are
at his
the rings
hand.
only on the front of it?
No, but like even like look at the curve. You can't see the rings. Okay. So wait a second. So did they confiscate his rings?
Give them back.
Right,
to
give
him.
it back and they forgot to take them off?
And it's interesting how they introduce him with his hands.
Yeah, they're showing you. They're trying to show you,
Wow.
bro. He did lose a set though. I don't know. Like, okay, so I'm not sure if we need both hands.
Oh no, they're not
yeah,
there.
See,
they're
look,
not there.
they're not there on this hand, bro. And they
They're
don't
not
seem to be
there.
on the other hand either.
He got them back.
'Cause
That's how he's gonna
look,
escape.
Look. Okay, so that's his other hand, right?
Yeah.
Okay, look. So that's his. Let's say that's his left, right? This is his right,
Not
right?
on
That's
there
on the
either.
other side of him. He doesn't have the rings on
He has
either
both
side.
of them now.
Yeah, so now he has both of them. So that's interesting, right? Because, like, you guys see what I'm trying to say, right? Like, when he turns around in that picture, like, we see both of his hands in this area. So does that mean, because see, look, like, over here, that's his right hand. I don't know which hand it is. And then, back this way, that's his left hand.
Yeah.
Because that's the one on his other side of his body.
Yeah, he
so
doesn't
that
have the
means
rings.
He doesn't have the rings when they took him out of the cell.
Okay, but
now,
in the screenshots where he's working on
should we go
hacking
see
Penny.
one
Yeah,
of
we
the
should.
screenshots of him hacking Penny? Okay, let's take a look at that. Oh my god, you guys are like, this is so bad. And I'm just like, yeah, I know.
Oh, wow.
Oh my god.
Wow, man, they fucked. Wait, there it is, there it is. I thought I saw glowing fingers.
No, that's Penny's glowing fingers.
Oh, okay.
We'll have to go to the Watts area. Oh my god. Okay.
It doesn't look like they're on there. He grabbed them.
This is so weird. Okay, so in this picture, he doesn't have them. So what happened, though? So is that
maybe
just an
he's working
animation
with...
error, or
maybe he's working with either it's an Iron. Maybe Ironwood gave it him back. Maybe there's someone
like,
on the
okay,
inside.
they're not in this picture either. Guys, are we like looking into this too much, or like did we find something, bro?
I think but how did he get him back?
I
Either
don't know.
Ironwood gave them back to him and let him escape as their deal.
Yeah.
Or maybe he's gonna blame it all. He's not gonna say it
That's
was
true.
him that did it. It was gonna say that it was.
Yeah.
What's
Okay,
his
so
face
basically
did it?
what you're saying, Hunter. Okay, let's go back to this episode. Are the rings under the keyboard? I'm not sure. So this is interesting. So basically what Hunter's saying is that Watts, or I guess Ironwood, gave the rings back to Watts so Watts could leave and escape, and then that was a part of their deal.
And
or
so it's
something.
plausible
look, he does have his
deniability.
rings back. And so it's like, oh, well, we don't know how Watts got his rings, but it could be, I don't know.
He's
Let's
gonna
keep
escape.
going. Let's see if
Did we like stumble
I
on?
know. Did we find something? Yeah, animation error versus clever plan. You decide. That's what I'm saying, right? Because yeah, he lost his rings in the arena or whatever, right? And so what if Ironwood recovered them though? I don't know. I don't know.
It would make sense.
You know what I mean? I don't know if it was an animation thing, because technically,
Okay,
like,
but,
shouldn't
like,
those have been
later
taken
on-
off his model?
Okay,
You
it
know what I
depends.
mean?
Like
Shouldn't those
later
have been
on in the
deleted?
episodes, does he have them again?
We'll
Is
take
it like
we'll,
a
we'll take a
one-time
look.
thing?
So I think that this scene was really good.
Yes.
Because I like that Robin's like, hey, if you want to
He
find
still
out.
has the rings in
Yeah,
this
he
scene.
still has the rings in this
I
shot,
don't think it was
bro.
an animation mistake unless they used the wrong model.
Like,
but
unless they used the wrong
but
model
the old
for
model,
the entire
the old
time.
model didn't have the black eye. So like, that's
I don't
purposeful.
know, sis.
I think that's purposeful.
Maybe he had a backup and he just didn't take them out. You know what I mean? Because he said
Maybe.
they're a pain to replace, but that doesn't mean that he didn't have plan. You know what I'm saying? Or maybe Ironwood let him
I
make
think
new
Ironwood
ones
let
in
him.
exchange for him hacking. Because we didn't see their deal or their conversation.
That's true.
Right? Oh my god. But yeah, so he's still, listen guys, it's still there. It's not just one frame. So either they made a big mistake.
And it's not the model, because this is a new model with the black eye
Yeah.
and them before.
Right. And
Whereas
so that's
before
my
he
thing,
would have
right?
them and not the black eye. So
He's
this
Lord
is
of
like
the
a
Rings.
purposeful
I mean,
choice.
unless they really fucked it up.
Unless they really fucked it
yeah,
up,
so
but-
I don't know, because you're right, Hunter. He has a black eye on this model, and so, like, wouldn't it be, I don't know how this works, but wouldn't it be two different models,
And
like
apparently
black-eyed
he's
Watts and
missing a
regular
ring.
Watts?
He's also missing a ring. I noticed
Oh.
on one of the fingers it doesn't look like he
I
has
have
them.
no idea, guys. God, count
Wait,
the rings.
so it's 7 rings? Is that like an Ariana Grande
Oh my
reference?
god, I was just gonna say that. Yeah, 250 IQ plan, guys. Trust me, if this is not relevant.
Listen, you have to have a large IQ to look
Yeah,
at
they have a
his
model
hand.
with the ringless hand, sis. So what happened?
Yeah.
We don't know. Okay, I may like try to post about that on Twitter and see if they're like, yeah, that's just an animation error. Like, don't look into it, Cal. You know what I mean?
Listen,
because if it
listen,
is
Cal,
genuinely an animation
Cal.
error, they will usually
Cal.
tell us.
Cal,
But
don't lie and say we're not going to make a video about this tomorrow.
not just the ring.
That we got it.
I'm gonna
It's-
post it on Twitter first.
7 rings.
Anyway. So yeah, you just want someone to be mad at. I really
That,
liked
or-
this
or
line
maybe
because
he
this
has-
was so true.
Maybe he has 6 rings and that's like a LeBron's James, like greatest of all time
Oh
thing.
boy.
So maybe that's like he's saying like, listen,
Yeah,
I'm
he
the
could have
greatest
hid
of all
them, right?
time.
Like he could have hid the extra. and they
Where?
just
In
didn't
his
find it.
pockets?
I don't know, bro.
before I noticed that he had the rings, I was gonna say that he had like a belly button ring, and he takes the belly button
Oh
ring
my
out
God,
and
Hunter
then
has
saves
said
the
that
day.
before,
but
but
I
yeah.
had to,
We have
discover.
talked for fucking 20 minutes just about this scene. We have to keep going.
This
But
is why
that's
some
so
people say
interesting.
it's the BTS stands that you have to worry about.
Uh-huh.
It's the Ariana Grande stands you have to worry about, because they will hack your government base, secret military base, destroy a whole city.
Yeah.
You gotta worry about them.
Damn. But yeah, so I really like this line of Robin like being like, hey, if you wanted to know the truth, you would just hold my hand and we'd
Yeah.
find out the truth, right? It would literally be that easy, right? But they don't want to know the truth.
Also,
I guess.
get
You know
this.
what I mean?
Or she was Mero was about to open it, I guess.
She
is the
really
idea.
was, right? So
She's so pretty.
so I really like this because, and I don't know why Mero is the voice of reason here. Like, doesn't Mero want to know the truth?
I think Mero wants to know the truth, but I think he realized that Harriet's just gonna beat the shit.
Like, Robin could kick her ass, right?
Well, Robin doesn't have a weapon.
I don't know.
So I'm like, it wouldn't be a fair fight.
I mean, but Robin's kind of tall, though, so I feel like that would help, right?
Yeah,
like,
maybe.
You know
I
what I
don't
mean?
know.
There is a height advantage, okay? Strategic height advantage. I don't know. But yeah, and so I really like this scene because they're so close. Because I feel like that Hair and Winter exchanging that look together, like that could have been a hint, if that makes sense. Like that could have been a hint towards Hair also, you know, doing this later. You know? Hair was not about to open that door to ask questions. Well, okay, so you guys basically think Hair was gonna kick her ass. Okay. But yeah, I wonder if
how I got it, because she
later,
seemed grumpy.
I wonder if Mero later will do this with Robin then. Because, like, Hair could probably kick Robin's ass, but Mero, I don't think Mero could kick Robin's ass, right? And that's the other thing, is that Mero has a stay semblance, so he could just use a semblance on Robin and then hold her hand, and that would be safer, right? So I feel like that would sort of help and stuff. Winter, yes, like, Hair and Winter exchange that, like, look, you know? And so, maybe, I don't know. But yeah, we'll find out. So
back to like something totally different.
Back to this.
People were worried or wondering how we were gonna get the rest of the sort of trailer images. And this is where
we basically found all of them in this
wide-eyed
episode, right?
Yang.
So this is funny because I know that Yang is the best person with the bike, so she does need to stay there. But Yang has kind of flown before. Like she can't go that high, but she can go high enough. Right?
I mean, she
for her to be like, I wish one of us could fly. And I'm just like, but Yang, you can fly. Sometimes.
But everyone has been yeeted in the show.
It's true.
They've all been yeeted. I also like how she's the most natural on the bikes.
Well,
like
yeah, because she had one, right?
She had one, so she's the
but
one
I guess
that
that's why she can't go fly, right? Like, she can't fly because she would be problems. You know what I mean? Like it would be big problems if she abandoned the bike and all that. But
I just really like how they used that sort of I guess just a little like character building.
Yeah.
Like, well, of course that she would be the one that like moves around the most on the bike.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The chase scene was pog as fuck. Yes, it was.
So I have a question.
Oh, okay.
I'm old.
Right.
And I'm out of touch
You don't know what
youth.
pog means?
I don't know what pog's in, and
like,
I'm too afraid to ask.
It just means like it was epic. It was like damn, that was great. It's just like when you say pog champ, it's like you did a good job. Like that was an epic job.
Okay,
you know?
but like it's
so they're saying the scene was pog. It's like a Twitch thing.
Okay, but like so if I say MVP or if I say like epic, do I sound
you would
old
say
now?
You would say like MVP pog champ maybe.
Okay.
I don't know. But
I just don't want to say. I want to be hip with the youth, and I understand you're hip with the youth, Cal.
Yeah, clearly. Oh, play of game. So it's actually an acronym. So it's like a good play of the game.
Okay.
Yeah.
I am a boomer. Thank you for calling me.
The song was really, really good. I do want to talk about the lyrics if Hunter has them on.
Oh, I do.
On
yes.
the phone.
Someone I can't vouch for
wow.
these that they're 100%.
Look at this, bro. Look at this gradient. Like this is like some Mariposa, like butterfly.
Oh yeah, it is very
like,
pretty.
What do you call it?
Membrane.
No, like the butterfly.
Oh,
monarch butterfly.
Well, monarchs have like they don't glow. When
I know that. But yeah, I just really like this scene. I like how like we knew the outcome. Like we pretty much knew that Oscar was fucking like he.
But it's only at this point that we realized that like, oh shit, they might get lost out in the snow, and that happens. I thought it would be a bigger thing.
This was so cute, by the way. I know people ship Yang and John. Yang and John is not happening. Sorry to tell you, we're all gay down here, but
it's like every
right?
lesbian needs their himbo friend.
Yeah, and John is Yang's himbo, and I feel like
it's like
great.
lesbian himbo solidarity.
Yeah. So let's talk about the lyrics a little bit, because I feel like there's not much to talk about in terms of the actual scene. Like, Ren just gets
really
hit around, right?
Also, I think the reason why Ren is so grumpy afterward is that he
has
a
fucking concussion.
a membrane.
Bro
He's
TP.
upset.
Yes, bro TP. Exactly.
I saw online on Twitter, someone called this the Missing My GF Squad.
Yeah, it is really.
And I really
though.
like that. I think that's what it should be. It's no longer like team like, I don't know what. It's missing the GF Squad when
Yes.
Oscar's not involved.
It's very true. Well, I mean, Oscar could miss RWBY.
That's a
Right?
controversial. How
And
dare you say
what?
something?
Rose Garden! I don't know.
How dare
Is
you
Rose
say
Garden
something
very controversial?
so controversial.
Blonde
And yet-
bonding. Yes. Very
Okay,
much.
but
I like that.
I guess they are blonde, but you know, Ren's here.
Yeah, Red's still here though. Here comes another nightmare, another fever dream. The war just won't stop on an endless dream. That's weird. I don't think it should be dreamed twice. This is just somebody's like trying to figure out.
thing.
It's probably stream or something like that, like an endless stream of
Oh,
like
yeah.
nightmares. The nightmares just
Okay,
keep
yeah.
flowing. It's
That
probably
makes more
something
sense.
like that.
These
We're
aren't
not
consistent
imagining. We're wide awake. This is reality. Our world left without a soul, losing all control. We're not getting closer. We'll be dead. The fight scene too loud at this part. Torture. That's all I've heard. Better cover up your eyes, my friend. The sky is falling. So I like that because it's a Chicken Little thing, and that's sort of a fairy tale, but it's
That's
also
true. I wonder if
you
there's-
know,
I
like,
wonder if we're gonna make a chicken faunist who
Oh,
just
God.
freaks out. I hope that when
in
they
the
go
slums.
in the slums in Mantle, there's a chicken faunist that like, we're gonna die. They're gonna come,
Yeah.
and it panics everyone, and someone has to give a stirring speech.
Can't outrun the ruin of our lives. We prepared to near the end. Our final days are calling. Hold out now. The world is falling down. So yeah, that was I love the song. I really like the song.
It worked
I
really
would
well
like
with it.
to
Oh, right.
sing the song if I can figure out all the lyrics like I did.
So
the
Cal,
first
I
one.
want to tell you something, and I'm telling it to you because I need to be able to get good at it, and by
Sure.
telling you and other people, I've asked for a ukulele for Christmas.
Oh my
Because I feel
God.
like a ukulele. I've been looking this stuff
That's
up.
like very like gay culture energy, Hunter.
Yes,
is getting
that's
a
fair.
ukulele.
Or Hawaiian, but you know,
You know
I'm
what I mean,
definitely
though.
more one than the
Like
other.
the ukulele lesbians is what I'm
Yes,
trying
so
to
I
say.
want it. So like, I'm trying to think of like what RWBY song can reasonably be played on a ukulele that I could hypothetically.
Well, the problem is there's no sheet music for any of this stuff.
Oh, it
So
is.
that's
It would
like-
have to all be by ear. Okay.
Yeah, I may be able to help with that.
Your
We'll figure
aunt,
it out.
like, not gonna lie, slightly convinced me that this was a good idea a very long time ago.
Oh boy. So what are you guys saying? Sky is falling. Yep.
I
Feels
really,
bad, bro.
you know what's really upset is that, like, I would really want to voice the chicken faunist
Oh
character.
boy, Hunter.
Like, I feel like if there's ever one thing, like, Panic, I could do that.
Yeah, I think that's true. But yeah, like you guys are saying, Ren has a fucking concussion.
Yeah.
And that's probably why he's
probably
grumpy.
the reason why he's out in the snow is he needs to ice his wounds. The man's
Yeah.
probably black and blue.
Yeah, his head's just like burning.
Have you ever
You
seen
know
that
what I
thing
mean?
about how like golden retrievers have such a gentle mouth that they can hold an egg in it without breaking?
Yeah.
The Grimhound is such a gentle mouth that it can hold a youth without breaking it.
Oh boy.
And this scene is genuinely, I don't
So
know
this
why
was fucking
this
so
frightens
scary,
me.
bro. This
May-
was
I think,
so scary.
what's that, you know that thing where people are like afraid of multiple holes?
Yeah.
I'm afraid of things coming out of certain.
Out
I'm
of
afraid
the
of like
holes.
maggots coming out. It's just, it's distressing and it scared the crap out of me, and I don't like it. And this
Yeah.
almost leads to the theory that Salem is in direct control of the Hound because Salem can control the Grim and the
Yeah.
Grim can control the
I mean,
Hound.
the Hound may just be smart enough to call for backup,
Maybe.
and the Grim
I
are
wonder-
like, oh.
I
let's
also,
go.
in my headcanon, like. In my headcanon, the Grim also sounds like the dog from Up.
Oh,
He's like, oh, I
boy.
love you, where he's just like, can somebody help me? The
So it's
mean
like,
people
did
are
it
shooting
call
at
for
me."
backup, right? And so I feel like the Hound
Mhm.
did that somehow,
Also,
right?
like, they were all just, like, 6 seconds away.
Yeah.
Like, they were just chilling, like, nothing to see
Well,
here.
they were probably deep under the ground, right? And you don't know when the Hound called them. I do like Jean slicing through them. Very nice, very
Yeah.
nice. Calxiyn approved.
Calxiyn.
Right? And so I do like seeing just Oscar and like his pale face and his rosy cheeks. Like they really illustrated the fact that
You
he's
mentioned something
freezing and unconscious.
earlier that I've never noticed in animation, but you're totally right, is that they don't animate when people breathe.
They don't, no.
And you notice that he almost looks so dead there. Unless they're, like, really panting, they don't do that. And it was such an odd thing.
I think that's Alasia as one of the mods in the chat, but I was like, who the fuck is that? Like, who the fuck is that moderator? That's
Hi,
not
Alasia.
sanctioned. Hi, Alasia. I'm pretty sure that's Alasia
Hi,
anyway.
how Belle's also there.
Yes. And so I liked that the Grimm fucked up Jean's bike, so that was pretty funny.
And they brought back the whole spitting acid thing.
But yeah, I mean, that's what I noticed about Oscar being very still when Salem was talking to him, is that when it's a close-up, you can really tell that the characters are sort of Barbie doll-ish in a sense, because they're not breathing, right? And so, I don't know, but yeah.
But then I'm thinking about most animated stuff, you don't see the characters breathe unless they're like
because, I mean, that's a lot of work, right? To have
Yeah.
someone constant, like, this isn't a fucking Disney movie, you know what I mean, with a Disney budget,
That's also
right?
true.
And so, but
There's also a lot less animal sidekicks and musical numbers.
But you know what I mean. But yeah, Oscar just looked very dead for a minute, and I was a little worried about him, because I was just like, you can't tell, like, his chest is moving up and down, right? Jean was capable in this fight. He was.
Can we talk about how Jean, like, I feel like before volume 6 and 7, or even in volume 6, we were like, you know, we can take or leave John.
Yeah.
John's so great now.
I agree. Like,
he's so useful.
I really hated John when I first started watching this show, not gonna lie. I really hated Jean, but now I think I like Jean enough. Like, if something happened to Jean, I would be sad.
Now it's like, before they always said that he was the ideas guy, now they actually show him as the idea, like being quick-witted.
Oh, this is the shot from the trailer. I didn't notice
mentioned that in the trailer. Caught that. So everyone thought that it was going to be something terrible. Nope, just a cliff. I like how cliffs aren't terrible.
I mean, they could have died.
Yeah. I was so terrified.
Look at this.
What I thought, they're holding hands.
Aww. They're just like, we're dying.
I mean, they have to, because otherwise,
they fall,
they
right?
fall.
But, oh my god.
I legit thought that we wouldn't, he would
Listen.
lose his sword and, they would be stuck just in the catacombs, and they would have to find their way back. And I thought they would find, a White Fang base in there.
Yeah.
Totally wrong. Ren saves the day.
Listen, you guys know that I am very bisexual, and I ship Blake with Yang, or Yang with Blake, I should say. But I'd be lying if there wasn't something special about holding hands in near-death experiences that just makes me a little emotional. Friendship or shipping doesn't matter, but the fact that they think that this is the end and they're holding each other's hands, even though they don't really know each other that well, this isn't John and Ruby, you know? It just makes me feel very happy, because I understand the logistics of why. They held hands so when Ren saves them, they'd be attached, similar to how Ruby or Weiss and Blake hold hands in last episode when they're falling off the cliff. But I don't know if they thought that Ren could rescue them, right? And so they are just staring in the face of death, and they're just, and I kind of like that. I don't know. That just makes me feel happy, even if it's not a shipping thing. But you know. I like how Ren made sure to grab the sword, but I guess the sword was in the thing. People are like Mulan vibes. Yeah, that did happen in Mulan.
People said Mulan 2?
Yes.
Yes.
And some other, there's, even in Mulan regular, Mulan, the real Mulan
Not
one.
Diet Mulan, Mulan original flavor.
Mulan original.
None of that Mulan crystal that we just got recently.
The mountains and the snowy mountains and stuff like that. You guys are having very much fun with the blonding thing, and I approve.
Oh, blonding, bonding.
Yeah, they already said that before.
Okay. Well, I just think that our fans, our watchers, our viewers, they're very funny people. Anyways.
But yeah, and so I do like this.
I like that we see more practical application of Ren going invisible.
And I like how, the whale started coming to war. Let's rendezvous at the meetup
point. We're seeing more of the whale, before we've only really seen its head. Now we see its whole body.
Sides, and then we see more of its insides later.
I like to imagine that the dogs are talking to, or the hound and the whale are talking. It's like, hello, big friend.
So
hello,
this is so fucking funny, and I'm gonna tell you why.
Okay.
So last night, I don't know if I said it last week, but last night during our $20 patron VIP discussion, which we do with the patrons that are over $20, like the $20, $40, $100 ones, and then the moderation team, we talked about how I was sort of like, what would be interesting? It would be interesting if Team RWBY brought Nora to the manor because Weiss's mom has some private Schnee family doctor, right? And brings them to the manor.
You did.
And we were sort of talking about how, that doesn't really make sense. Why wouldn't they just go in the slums and try to help Fiona and Joanna? wouldn't they try to help them? Like, why would they stay up in Atlas? All that stuff. But here we are, so clearly I was onto something. Like, I understand why people said that it would have made more sense for them to go in the slums, but at the same time, like, it's slums,
probably closer.
Like, yeah, first of all, it's closer and Nora needs immediate help. And then the other thing is like, the slums are having their own problems. I don't know if you're gonna find a doctor ready in the slums, right? And so I feel like this was, like, I really liked this scene, and I also liked that I got right that they were going to the manor. Because I was, like, laying low.
Stern, yet adorable Weiss looks.
Yeah, she does. She's just like, oh, damn, it's Whitley. And so Nora still has the scars.
Tag yourself. I'm nervous, Ruby.
Yeah. I like how he's trying to scold her, but it's like, listen, we don't have time. And I like this, okay? Because it's just another reminder that Whitley never got trained in weapons or aura or anything, and, like, Weiss can just, you know.
Which also is like, who trained Weiss? Who trained Winter?
Well,
because we see Winter train
Willow,
Weiss.
Maybe when Willow was better, right? Because Willow can't fight. Also, hey Hunter, if your bingo card's coming up, don't you remember how you said something about Whitley and Willow doing stuff?
Yeah.
Right? So
okay,
we are.
I think that it would be really cool if we had, like, an attack on Xingyi Manor where we get to see Willow kick some ass.
Because what if somebody saw them come in there and then Willow and Whitley actually, like, defend them, right? And, like, keep them safe and stuff. That would kind of be
really hope that in the prologue to RWBY, we see that Whitley becomes, like, a country and western single, and he's called, like, Willie Snow or Willie Iceman. He plays the banjo. He's like really big in mantle.
I thought that this was interesting because he's more worried about fugitives.
Yes.
And he doesn't make any comment about Blake being a faunus.
Yes.
So I thought that was interesting, is that, first of all, he doesn't consider Weiss a fugitive, right? Because he says, let's go back.
They're all wanted.
Now you want us to harbor fugitives too, right? So he doesn't say you're a fugitive. He says, like, he almost sees Weiss as still separate from the rest of them. You know what I mean? And instead, he sees them as, like, Weiss and her fugitives, not Weiss is a fugitive, right? And so I thought that was interesting. But, like, he doesn't say anything about Blake being a faunus, and I thought that was sort of funny, right? He's not like, oh, a bunch of fugitives in a dirty faunus or something. Like, he just moves on. Like, he doesn't say anything about it, right? And so I thought that was kind of interesting.
It's interesting that it doesn't even mention, like, the fact that May's there. One thing that I think is really interesting and that I mentioned earlier and that maybe we'll expand upon later, but, like, May is a marigold. Yeah. Like, Whitley probably knows Henry. I would be interesting if something like that happens
I kind of hope that they bring something up with that.
I get the impression that they would give, like, May a little room for a little talk.
Yeah.
I would be really into that.
Also, all the house staff left.
Yeah.
Which is a big yikes, because, like, I thought that the staff were, like, kind of actually loyal to, if not Jock, at least Weiss in some capacity, right?
That would be cool.
But
if,
I guess
like,
no
Calxiyn
one's getting paid
back.
right now. Well, wait a second. Whitley, you didn't lose all the house staff. Aren't they evacuated?
Yeah.
Like, they probably went home to be with their families during the apocalypse.
That really tells a lot about how just dumb he is and how closeted, not closeted, but like,
maybe closeted.
Maybe closeted.
Closed off.
Closed off. Sheltered.
Yes.
How he is that he doesn't think, oh, people are freaking out because the world is ending. It's like, why isn't a butler getting me my lobster bisque?
Well, yeah, that's
true. It's because the world is ending.
Okay, why would the house staff? I don't think it's even, guys. I don't even think it's about the paycheck. Like, I don't even think it's about Jocks being in prison, right? I don't think it's even about that. It's the house staff probably fucked off because there's a giant grim whale outside and they probably went home to be with their family. You know what I'm saying? And so that's what I'm thinking. It's like Whitley is just like, oh, the house staff left because of our reputation, not the house staff left because there's a whale in the sky. You guys understand what I'm saying? But yeah, and so I think that it's interesting. He's concerned about Mom, right? And so he's just like, has he just been alone, like just sitting here, like,
I really
want.
Have you ever heard of the there's a Jackie Chan movie called Legend of the Drunken Master where he's only a good fighter when he's toasted? I imagine that Willow is the same way. Yeah. Only when she has a blood alcohol content of like 4%, does she just like release the beast and destroy people. And I'm looking forward to that.
So what's interesting too about this is that people love RWBY x Whitley. So
Really?
yeah, don't you remember? We back in the day, somebody paid us to do a shipping video about RWBY
Yeah,
x
but
Whitley.
people like made us do shipping videos about Oobleck and Glinda.
I know, but I'm just saying, like now Ruby's actually
No.
interacting with Whitley, and somebody's dreams have been fulfilled. So good
Maybe.
for you guys, those people that got right
Maybe.
the Whitley x Oscar. That was a big thing too. So congratulations to anyone who was waiting for the RWBY x Whitley interaction. But yeah, and so what do you expect me to do then? And so it seemed like he was actually almost offering help.
Yeah.
Right? In his condescending,
He's not a bad person.
way.
He
You know
just
what I mean?
lacks all social skills
Yeah.
because he grew up around Jacques.
Right.
Like, of course you'd be a dick if
Because
you
he
grew
does
up
say,
around
what do you
Jacques.
expect me to do? As if, okay, what can I,
How
how can
can
I
I
help
help?
you almost, in his just rude way, right? And so Weiss just sends him
Totally.
away though, but he actually was trying to
Such-
help, and he seems kind of
Such
sad.
like mom energy.
You know, he
it's
seems
so
kind of sad.
that is,
about
I
it.
really like how it works on like what if he knows a lot about like medical shit.
Maybe
Maybe
I
he's
don't-
like a doctor.
Maybe he
in
wanted to
training.
be a doctor.
Maybe he wanted to help people.
Maybe.
That could be
Yeah.
really cool for him. I know we talked about him wearing a mech suit, but like what if he helps?
Yeah, that's the thing. Like he
People,
was
you
just
know?
like he was actually trying to offer something,
Mhm.
and then Weiss was just like, "Fuck you."
Maybe
I don't like
people.
that. Maybe
people
later.
will maybe that's like May's thing. Will be like just because we're born in this system doesn't mean we can't
Yeah.
like. Because she will probably talk about growing up with Henry and probably being a rich
Yeah.
Atlas elite.
Because I think that
You know?
maybe May can convince Weiss to give
Mhm.
Whitley a chance.
Mhm.
You know? Yeah.
Yeah. And because like
Yeah.
it would be really cool. Like I think that would be a real and great contrast between like Jacques, who only wants power and only wants
Yeah.
control. Like if Whitley's like, I wanted to be a doctor. I
I
wanted to
wanted
help
to do
people.
something else, you know?
Like, what if they go downstairs and he starts helping? Maybe that's the thing. Maybe
Yeah.
that's how he wins
They
back
leave
S.G.
Nora
Sneed.
alone and he's helping Nora
Yeah.
or something. I don't know. Like,
And he helps with
I
like
think-
injuries down in the slums.
yeah, I think that would definitely be interesting. I think it would be cool for at least for them to show that Whitley is not bad.
Mhm.
Like, Whitley does still want to help, right?
He's just really socially awkward
yeah.
and doesn't get
And I
it.
think I want May to make Weiss realize that,
Mhm.
almost.
Mhm.
Right? But yeah, I think that this was funny because if you're worried about Yang, you could try calling her, but Blake doesn't want to call her. I guess Blake's
Yeah.
not worried, right? I think that Blake is really invested in making sure that the sisterly relationship is okay,
Uh-huh.
right? And so, yeah, so she has tried to call her, but the phone's ringing, right? And we'll talk about that later. We'll talk about the Ruby and Yang stuff because somebody did say something interesting, and I do want to sort of address it
Mhm.
and all that sort of stuff. I am just reading the chat. Whitley needs some love. Yes. The Ladybug shippers are really winning this volume. See, that's what I'm saying. Like everyone's getting a
Yeah,
little
I
something,
guess
you
so,
know.
yeah.
But yeah, and so I guess they lost signal because they are so far outside of the
Mhm.
city and the
T-Tower.
CCT tower. Yeah. And so they're walking.
Now I thought that
In
they
the
would
snow.
be stuck out there, but it looks like well,
they
we don't
found
know
some
what
sort
happened.
of shelter until they
Yes.
can leave, right?
Like an Arctic outpost. They just describe it as
Yeah.
an outpost.
And so Ren is walking kind of funky here, and so, but otherwise, I really like.
I feel
this
like
scene.
there would be more snow. Like they would need snowshoes
Yeah.
to survive this.
But you know,
That's
we don't
just
have the
me.
budget for that. But I like how Yang and John look at each other,
Yeah.
and then like they have this sort of moment where like, okay, one of us has to go
Right.
talk to him. I thought that was pretty interesting. But yeah, I thought so I did before I had to cut myself loose to help you guys, and so I like Yang and how she responds here because she's actually like. Open communication.
Mhm.
Like, do you have something? Do you want to share something with the class,
Yeah.
Ren? You know, and so I really
It's
like that.
she
right?
learned from what happened with Blake and how she
Yeah.
closed herself off after volume 3.
Yeah.
Like she's a changed person. Like I don't know if volume
Yang understands, right?
I mean, I think volume 2 Yang did do stuff like that where she tried to have a chat with Blake.
Yeah.
But especially things but that didn't scare her as much. You know, she's better at talking about things that scare her and affect
Yeah.
her, and not just other people.
And so it's good that, like, Yang values that, like, healthy communication of talking about your feelings instead of being passive-aggressive, right? Because that's really what Ren is doing. He's being
Mhm.
passive-aggressive, and he's not expressing himself, which is not nice. But yeah, I like the detail of just the footprints. Like, you
Yeah.
see Yang obviously has more. And so I like this conversation because I feel like that, first of all, that's a nice shot.
Yeah, it is pretty.
I hate to
love
break
the
it
stone
to you,
pillars
but
in the
that's
background.
part of being a huntsman, right?
Mhm.
And so I feel like that there's something underlying here about summer, basically.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's like, well, sorry, Ren, but like, you know, like, huntsmen, you know, they're not always in great situations. Like, my mom died as a huntsman for the cause and all that
Her
stuff.
stepmother.
You know, well, yeah, but you know what I mean? Like, Summer died as a huntsman, right? And so I feel like that Yang has a high value of the like, she knows the stakes. Because
But
when she was little,
Ren's
right?
dad also died. I mean,
Yeah, but he wasn't a huntsman.
I guess,
He was a regular person. You know what I mean? I feel like that this makes a lot of sense for Yang to be like, listen, this is part of being a huntsman. Is this not what you signed up for? Like, did you not know that this is how things go? Like, huntsmen fucking die. Like, my stepmom fucking died. And so I feel like that the good thing about this scene is that both of them show really, like, good like, both of them have good points. Right?
Yeah.
Ren is right, but the way that he's saying it is not right. And he's not entirely right either about some other things.
Well,
but,
you know, ultimately his issue is that he's insecure.
Yeah.
He's like, you want to go with Ironwood? It's like, I don't know, but I know that I don't know.
Yeah.
I know that I shouldn't be the person in charge. I know that I'm afraid of what to do next.
Because Yang is also right. Like, she's bringing up examples of them doing good, and then Ren is just like, we did bad. Here's the thing, though. Okay? Team RWBY got the lamp. You fuckers lost it. So what Sean really means is that Juniper isn't ready.
But
right?
also, when you
That's
realize, like,
the
they're
team,
the ones
right?
that... It makes sense that Ren would have that because they lost their
I know, but I'm saying
teammate.
that's the thing is that Juniper
that's
lost
true.
the lamp. Listen, okay? Team RWBY didn't lose the lamp. And I'm not saying that Team RWBY has always done everything perfectly, guys. But when you think about it, right? It's Team Juniper that's fucked up. Not, like, you know, like with what Ren is talking about, I guess. To make real decisions, we got every single one wrong. So I think that's interesting. I like the spinning shot, too. I'm not going to pretend like we did everything perfectly, but if we'd done nothing, things would have gotten even worse than they are now. And so I feel like that's an interesting line because that's a callback to what Ren's father told him. Like, don't sit around and do nothing, right? And so I really sort of like that she's saying the same thing that Ren's father did, but it seems like Ren is rejecting what his father told him, in a sense, because he would rather Ironwood call the shots and them just obey and have them just listen. You know what I mean? And so... we're gonna talk about the RWBY thing, because obviously that's causing some controversy, because some of y'all are dumb, but we'll talk about that later, about Yang worrying about what Blake thinks of her more than RWBY. Apparently that's rubbing some people the wrong way, but we'll talk about why it makes sense. But yeah, I think that, you know...
I love the cinematography, the spinning gives,
and then
like,
we
movement
see
and chaos.
This, right? We see sort of the middle, and I like that. And by keeping her from opening the vault for Ironwood, we're just trapping the whole city for Salem, right? And so I like also how the audio changes as he's walking away. And so, yeah, I think that both of them have good points. Like, Ren has a good point, but at the same time, they can't just obey Ironwood, I don't think, right?
But it also makes sense that he would be insecure. I don't think either... I mean, obviously, Ren needs to learn to, like, talk about things better and not be so angry at people. But, like, neither... I like how they do this conflict because neither of them are clearly wrong.
Ren questioning his father, does he want to unlearn what he had learned? Yeah, like, maybe... I don't know. I feel like he is questioning all of that to do nothing because I guess what the thing is, though, that Ren doesn't want to do nothing. He wants to follow Ironwood. He wants an adult to make the decisions. So it's not necessarily doing nothing, if that makes sense. Like, he doesn't want to not act. He just doesn't want to think for himself, I guess. Right? And so there's a little bit of, like, a nuanced there, I guess. But yeah, like, we should just do what Ironwood wants. And so I feel like, yeah, Yang is just like, hey, do you think that this is really gonna work now that Salem's here? And so he's like, I don't know, but these aren't the kind of decisions that we should be making. And so I feel like that's the thing, right?
He's
frustrated. That Ren, like, doesn't, like, I think that Ren feels very deeply like that they're just kids, in a sense, and he's mentioned this, like, a couple times now, you know? And so I feel like that with this, it's almost like you didn't want to have to make the decisions. You didn't want to have to make the calls, but you have no choice. And I feel like that's what they're going to learn soon, is that they don't have a choice. You know what I mean? They don't have that luxury, right? So I do understand what Ren is saying, but ultimately, like, that's the key of this, is that none of them have any other options. There really are no other options, and that they're going to have to learn to make the hard calls, I guess. So I feel like this is very much, I don't know, like, when kids, like, want their parents, you know, I feel like Ren wants a parent, but when you grow up, you can't rely on your parents anymore. I feel like that's sort of, they're 19, yeah, but, like, still.
Yeah. I think honestly,
This is very 19-year-old,
he's
though.
relatable. Like, he's just...
Like, think about, like, going off to college. Like, a lot of people still, like, want their parents. You know what I mean? So it's, like, even though they're 19, like, I don't know. There's been times where I've been like, yeah, like, the only person that can fix this or knows what to do is my mom. And I go to my mom. The problem with Ren is that he doesn't have any parents, right? He's been an orphan all his life, so he doesn't have any adult that he can turn to.
Maybe that's why he was always lining up with Ironwood. He was like, oh, look, a father figure.
Yeah, like, he's just replacing his dad, I think.
I think that's a really interesting take for his character, that he's kind of like, and it's interesting because later on, I think in this scene, he's like I'm an orphan.
Yeah. And so I feel like that could be referencing it, right?
That's sort of central to maybe his. That's actually a really good idea. That's central to his struggle as a character.
Yeah, Ren grew up orphaned and he needs an adult. Yeah, and so that's basically. I feel like somebody said something in the chat, and I feel like it's so true. Okay, like, we all want to grow up to be an adult, so because we think that adults have everything put together. That we think, like, as teenagers and then as college age, when I'm an adult, I'll finally understand this. I'll finally have my life together. I'll finally know what to do and I won't struggle anymore. But, like, the secret is that adults don't know what they're doing either. You know what I mean? It's sort of like one of those things where you, like, if you talk to, like, your parents and stuff, and you think that your parents had everything figured out when they, like, had you, like, if you talk to them, they were probably like, yeah, we had no fucking idea what to do with you. Especially if you're a first child, right? It's, like, it's something that happens in movies a lot, when, like, the daughter is, like, having a kid, and she goes to her mom, and she's like, Mom, you had everything figured out, and the mom's like, no, like, I never had everything figured out, right? It's one of those things, and so I feel like with Ren, he thinks that the adults have it all figured out and they're just kids. But the reality is that no one has it figured out. Not really.
I ran into a similar thing where I used to go to a summer camp a lot, and over the summer they opened it up just for camping because obviously COVID, you can't have a summer camp. And as I was walking through there, I remember being like a little kid, like 10 or 11, thinking like the camp counselors were like paragons of virtue and knowledge. Yeah. And then I realized they were probably like 16, 17 years old. Yeah. They're younger than I am. I still don't know shit. They definitely didn't know shit. Right? It's really fascinating.
And so, you guys in the chat are saying, like, that some of you are, like, 40 and still feel that way. But that's the whole thing, right? Like, when we're kids, we always think that the adults around us, like, they must be, like, up here. Like, even our teachers and stuff, right? Like, stuff like that. But
it's weird to have other people look at you like you have your shit figured out.
Because, like, Hunter, like, when you become a teacher or something, like, you're gonna... You know what I mean? Like, kids are gonna look up to you the same way that you looked up to your teachers, and it'll finally click for you that your teachers did not have it figured out.
Or like,
you know what I mean?
Or like, what happens? It's happening
perfect,
even now.
Right?
Like, I'm a tutor, and people think I'm like an excellent student with everything figured out. I'm like, I don't feel that way.
Yeah, and so I feel like that's interesting. The tragic.
No one really feels confident, and the people who are confident are the people that shouldn't be confident a lot of the time.
Okay, and so. Yes, meanwhile, Yang basically raised herself in RWBY while her dad had a breakdown, so Yang felt like she could make the decisions for a while. Yeah, I feel like that's totally true, right? And then somebody else said, somebody said something about Ren. The tragic part about Ren is that he's pushing people away, so when he inevitably falls, he isn't letting anyone down. And I feel like that's so true, and that's very, like... I don't know. It's just like very depression behavior, if that makes sense. I'm gonna push everyone away so if something happens to me, it doesn't hurt them, right? Like it's very much sort of like that. And so I really like this this sort of thing. I really like this.
Barely more than a kid. I'm just an orphan.
And so that's what he's saying, right? He's just an orphan. Like he didn't have, you know, oh God, you know the third Aladdin movie? So
that
Aladdin's
I've never seen. No, Cal.
He says, Aladdin's just like, your father's a man who taught you who you are. Mine was never there. And so he's talking to Jasmine, and he's basically like, how can you, like, say that I'm a good match to marry you when, like, I didn't have a father, and I don't know what it's like to be a man and be in marriage and, like, have a family and be a king and all that. And Aladdin's like, freaking the fuck out, right? And so I feel like that Ren is a lot like Aladdin. He's like, you know, my father, like I didn't, you know, we're just orphans, right?
Two interesting things in the chat right now is people are saying that this is a similar crisis of identity that Blake had in Volume 4.
I agree.
That's cool. And also
like, we're not ready. We may have never been ready.
I need
like,
to go home and see my parents. The only thing is that Ren doesn't have parents or a menagerie to run off to.
When does Blake say that thing about we weren't ready, maybe we'll never be ready? Did she say that in Volume 2?
Yes.
I don't know.
Yes. Yes, because that's when she's, like, hasn't been sleeping.
Yeah, and so, that's like, oh, we're not ready to take on Torchwick. We may never be ready. It's that whole thing. But you're totally right, Hunter. Blake was able to have an identity crisis and go back to her parents to ask them what to do. But Ren has no parents to go back to.
And hopefully he chooses to go with his friends other than Ironwood. Also, if you can go back, Yang's hair looks so cool right here.
Oh, she does.
With the shadows and the lighting.
Yeah, Volume 2. And so, yeah, that's like a major thing is that everyone else can really confront their parents. Like, most of everyone else, right?
Nora can't.
But Blake can. Weiss can to some extent. She has Winter, right? She has Winter to consult with. RWBY has Yang. You know, Jean's parents, who knows where they are, right? We'll see them
one day.
Yeah, and so Blake and Ren have similar mindsets, yes. And so I feel like that's super interesting. Weiss said that, actually. Still the same thing, same sentiment. Does Ren's story ever parallel Mulan's? Kind of. We'll talk about that a little bit. The snowy part definitely exists. I think self-doubt is definitely there. I think that instead, because, like, with Mulan, it's very much a gendered thing. It's like, I'm supposed to be this girl for the matchmaker and all that stuff, but that's not who I am. But in the original as well. But I feel like with Ren, it is kind of the same
It's
thing.
a masculine equivalent to that, because later on you get a really good scene in this episode where Jean's like, you know, you don't have to close yourself off and be strong all the time.
Ren has toxic masculinity problems, I guess, in a sense,
so
right?
So it is kind of the male equivalent of Mulan's issues with her gender and how people perceive her and how she feels she needs to act.
So I feel like that...
What I think about is a really great inversion.
Chad's saying the original fairy tale. I don't know anything about that. But to the Disney movie, I think so. Like, it's definitely... Because, like, that's the whole point of the movie. It's deconstructing what you are allowed to do as your gender. And for Ren, it's that he feels like he's not allowed to show any sort of weakness and all of that stuff. And so, And so it's almost like if Mulan can't show strength, like that sort of male strength in battle, it's like Ren can't show weakness. It's sort of an opposite sort of thing because the struggles are obviously different, you know? And so...
That's a really interesting insight onto Ren and his character.
Yeah, and so... look at us. Look at what we're doing.
Look at us. Dissecting Ren.
And you cheated your way into Beacon, so can we just talk about that?
I totally forgot that happened.
Yeah, so...
I didn't even know that Ren knew that.
Here's the thing, like, Pyrrha knew about that, but did everyone else?
I mean, presumably they were like, hey, why do you suck so bad? Why are you training with Pyrrha? Maybe it was like a team secret.
Maybe the team had it as a secret.
Obviously, Team RWBY, I mean, they might have, like, expected. I'm sure I could imagine there was, like, Beacon rumors going around.
Yeah, maybe. And so I feel like, so did Ren overhear the conversation Jean had with Pyrrha? That's what I'm sort of thinking, is that it was a team secret and they all knew, but Yang doesn't seem surprised. I don't know.
Maybe she always kind of expected that.
Yeah, maybe she kind of knew, right?
Like, yeah, that makes sense. That about makes
Yang
sense.
definitely knows now. Yeah, she does either way, right? And so you think we should be you don't think we should be huntsmen? Fine, but I'm getting out of the cult. And so Jean just doesn't respond to
So
that
bad
right
job
now.
to do.
Right? And so, yeah, I guess Yang is not surprised. And I
Dude,
feel like
in
that
all
makes sense.
fairness, like, there's some truth to what Ren is saying. Jean never did
Jean
get
did
in.
fake his way in the
Like,
beacon.
that's why I love this conflict so much, is that Ren's not necessarily wrong.
Yeah.
There's a kind of internal logic to why, because
Yeah.
sometimes people are dicks and you're like, why did you write him like that? It's character assassination. But
Yeah.
with him, I think it's very
Because a lot of
reasonable.
people are like, oh, Ren's so mean, he's such an asshole. Like, he is, he's mean, but he's not like,
makes
Jean,
sense.
you're such a piece of shit. Like, he's saying the facts. The fact is
And your haircut
that
sucks.
Jean faked his way into Beacon. You know what I'm saying?
It's
And so
true.
that's the truth, you know? And so I feel like that his deliverance of the truth is rude. Like, I get why people are like, Ren is such an asshole, how could he say that? But the internal logic of why he's
Is
saying
there.
it checks out. It definitely makes sense.
He does have
right?
a rebuttal for it later.
Yeah. And so I like this, seriously. Is your goal just to push everyone away? And I think it is, right? He wants to push everyone away so he doesn't feel hurt by losing anyone, and they don't feel hurt in return. He pushes Nora away so he thinks that he'll feel less if something happens to Nora. But I think the big thing this season is that when he sees Nora again, he will realize that he feels more than ever because he pushed her away, and he is now realizing he may not have had the chance to like say goodbye if something bad happened.
I like
right?
the idea that it looks like Ren and Nora
Blake,
are gonna learn a lot from their friends, because
I think so too.
from Yang, Ren can learn like, hey, I pushed people away. It was really bad. Learn
Yeah,
from me, like
me
what
and
happens
Blake
in Volume
both
4.
lost people or
And-
pushed people away. I should
And
say.
also, we discussed earlier what can happen with May and Weiss learning
Yeah.
about Whitley. Maybe through that, Nora could learn like, hey, I shouldn't give up on people just because they come from a different set
yeah,
of expectations
That's
and
true.
a different life.
you're so smart, Hunter.
I think
Galaxy brain.
I think that that's what they're doing, and I
Yeah.
think that that's really, really, really clever, because it's almost in Volume 4, right? I
Yeah.
liked the stuff with Nora and Ren fine enough, but it was
Yeah.
alwaes kind of surface. With here,
Yeah, it
they're
was
really
just their
going
backstory,
depths into their
right?
character, and it's incorporating their lives with other people. I think
Yeah.
that's like a great. It's just a really great character moment with them, and I think
Yeah.
that they might learn to grow very well. And the more they learn to grow, the more I'm like, I don't know if I want them to die.
I mean, I think that's very true. And
There's such a lack of emotionally healthy characters in RWBY.
I think that you're really right there, Hunter. And it's very much like Blake pushed people away, Yang pushed people away, and it was because they were scared to let them in. And I feel like that's Ren. And so I feel like that, like the chat is saying, either Nora will reinforce that, like seeing Nora hurt will reinforce it, or will break it. Like they'll finally make some progress.
Also, the best advice someone has in the audience is get some therapy.
I like how you say in the audience.
Yep.
Yes, in the chat.
Crystal
also,
Mac,
we've hit like
some
almost
therapy.
600 viewers for this
Oh,
stream.
geez.
That's like Arnold level numbers. You
Yeah.
know, like when Arnold
One
does
of
his
which
live stream discussions.
Are Arnold, presumably.
Yeah, I mean, because Arnold gets around like 1K, like 1.2K or whatever, so we're not doing too bad if you ask me. Anyway, so let's talk about this.
I love how the opening is
God.
that Ozpin telling Oscar, like, hey, don't freak out. We're gonna be fine. And it's
Yeah.
just like, why is he saying that? Looks up. Salem.
So let's talk about this. So Hunter noticed
Yes.
something very cool and very interesting. So take it away,
Oh,
Hunter, because
so
there is something
those
that you guys
black-
probably didn't notice, but it's
Those
really
black
cool.
orbs spinning, there's 4 of them, and if you listen carefully, you hear the cheering of children.
Yeah, you
and the
hear like the
giggle.
laughing
So
and the
I'm
giggling,
like,
right?
so this is really interesting because she's creating images of her children, but
Yeah.
they're not clear. They're mucky. She doesn't remember the faces
yeah,
of her
because
children.
you see the shapes, right? You can
anymore.
actually see the shapes of the children.
Rough shape, but
right?
they're
You
not.
can see the dress and then her hair. You can see this girl's hair and her dress twisting
but you can't
as
see the
well.
finer details. It's been
Yeah.
hundreds, maybe thousands of years, and she
Yep.
can't remember what her
So
children
the
look like.
children are in the smoke, and you can actually hear them laughing.
And that's really kind of tragic.
And Hunter found that.
And so here's my so I have 2 really controversial RWBY opinions I have now.
yes,
One we'll get in later, but this one is Salem doesn't want to destroy the world. Salem wants to die to be reunited with her children.
Yeah.
Right now, it's not about ruling the world. It's about, I knew I loved these children more than anything else in the entire world.
Yeah.
And I can't even remember their face anymore.
Yeah.
She can't even create them anymore.
Yeah.
So I think that she's just almost suicidal.
Yeah.
And she's working to this, destroying herself.
Because we have said, right, in the lore book, sorry about the lore book, but in the lore book...
In the big one or in the
big one?
The newer
in the
one?
big lore book.
Not the
fairy tale
okay,
one,
right.
the compendium or
Still
whatever.
haven't read that one. Thank
book.
you, University, for giving me no spare time.
It says something like that Salem wants to rule as the Dark Queen of Remnant. And I do wonder if that's, like, not true.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people are like, oh, well, the basic idea is that Salem wants the relic so she can summon the gods so the world will be destroyed and she can die. Because the god said, as long as the world turns, you will walk its face. And so she thinks that she can break the curse by destroying the world.
Yes.
And that's the idea. And so I feel like that what you're saying, Hunter, does make the most sense. But I also wonder if it is as the lore book said. Because she did promise Mercury and everyone that she was building a whole new world. You know what I'm saying?
She also she also said that, like, she'd help out Lionheart.
I know,
that didn't happen either.
I'm just sort of wondering about that, but yeah. Oscar.
This is so distressing. I also love how proud and happy that dog, the hound,
really.
looked.
I mean, the hound did a better job than Cinder. Let's just say it.
I also love the idea that this hound has the same voice as the dog from Up, and it's just like, I got it, Myth, I got it, I got it in my mouth, I got it right here. I imagine.
You guys want to see the kid's screenshot again?
I'm gonna call the hound Harper, my dog's name.
Oh boy.
The hound reminds me a lot about Harper. Vicious killer instincts, incredibly affectionate.
So you guys can see, this is the outline of the children again. Just because somebody in the chat asked, you can see the dress, and then you can see the hair, and then you can see this kid has her arms out like she's a little helicopter.
Oh, yeah.
And so you can sort of see them playing around. And so,
The fact that she doesn't even...
Cinder got replaced by the dog, and so, this was pretty funny.
In all fairness, I also feel like my parents replaced me with my dog.
Hunter.
They call Harper Hunter a lot.
So this small but new host of yours, really.
He really is quite like, listen, I know my feet aren't even touching the ground, but like, don't be mean.
I don't know what happened there. I may have stopped screenshotting and started
He's wiggling.
And so, it's a wonder my hound didn't break you.
I feel like, Oscar, you can just, like, slip out of your jacket.
So we had this theory that, like, Salem would offer Oscar the ability to suck out Ozpin so he could live his normal life. And I am sort of thinking that we are going in that direction just because she's like, maybe we can have a better working relationship. And so maybe she'll offer him something later.
What I think that might happen is that Oz will be like, I will kill Oscar. Like, Oz will be fine. I will kill Oscar. Unless you help me.
Jin,
Yes, and maybe that's a moment.
Because Ozpin said everything is going to be fine. So does Ozpin, like, Ozpin seems to have a different relationship with Oscar. And so if Salem is like, I will kill you if you do not tell me who Jin is, would Salem do that to prove to Oscar that Ozpin does not care about him?
That could happen.
That's what I'm saying. Because
alternatively, could Ozpin tell Salem the truth, and then Oscar's like, oh, he does care about me.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking, right? And so imagine this, okay? Salem is like, Oscar, if you don't tell me Jin's name, I'm gonna kill you. And think about it. Ozpin will be fine, but you're going to be so fucked, right? All that stuff. So, and then, like, if Ozpin doesn't go for it, that's just psychological warfare. And Salem's like, I was never going to kill you, Oscar.
She's gonna divide
I just
them.
wanted to
She's
prove
dividing.
to you
She's
that
doing her thing
Ozpin
again.
does not give a fuck, right? And so that could be the whole thing, is that Salem is like, oh, honey, like she touches his face again. Oh, honey, I was never going to...
I got mild dummy vibes from Salem here. I'm just gonna say that.
I was never going to kill you, Oscar. I just wanted to prove to you that Ozpin doesn't care about you, but we can make a deal, and that could be the whole thing, right? And so that's what I'm thinking, right?
I agree with that. I like the idea that her whole thing is dividing people, and she tries to divide Ozpin
and
Oscar.
Then maybe Oscar would change sides,
I also like that she doesn't call Ozpin, she calls him Ozma.
Well, I think it's because at first she can't necessarily tell.
Yeah.
Right? And so nothing to say. Right? And so I really like that.
Well, he talks there in his Ozpin
Ozpinish voice.
I just like it that everyone else knows him as Ozpin first, but she's like, listen, I've been around the block. He's Ozma.
Yeah. And so I like this. Like,
Her
look how
eyes
angry
darken.
she is, right?
Yeah.
Look at the, her nose crinkles, right?
It's frightening.
You can pretend, but you're not fully hit, so she knows,
You can pretend,
right?
boy.
Yeah. So I really liked that. I liked that scene. But yeah, you guys were like...
I like how she just turns on a...
Could
like
Jin
a dime.
refuse to answer Salem? I don't think that's how that works. I don't think she could just be like, no, I don't think so, not you, right? It's about time that Oscar's been kidnapped with actual consequences. It really is. But see what she says? Hopefully you and I can have a better working relationship. And so she is going to try to divide Oscar and like pit Oscar against Ozpin. Hey, Oscar, if you want to save your own skin, if you want to save your own life, I can separate you from Ozpin, but you need to tell me the name of the relic.
What I also think she's doing here is I think she's doing good cop, bad cop.
Yeah,
like she's good cop and Hazel is most definitely bad cop.
Right. Yeah, so the beacon relic. My forces have been able to locate the relic beneath the school. So I didn't think we were going to hear about this for a long time. Because we've always theorized that the final battle would take place at Beacon.
Yes.
And that Salem would go back to Beacon for the final relic, which still could happen, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I just remembered something.
Oh, no.
Okay. Guys. So Carrie did an interview a couple days ago. And he said... I don't want to say anything about promising to go to Vacuo, but there may be a detour on the way. Like, he said something to that effect. So what if the detour is them going back to Beacon and then them going back to Vacuo? Like, what if Salem gets the location of the relic out of Oscar and the detour is Salem going to Beacon, right? And all that stuff. Going to Beacon to get the relic.
Or, alternatively, because I do think they are going to bookend it with they go back to... Alternatively, what if everyone's about to die and then Raven opens a portal at the last minute and everyone escapes and they're in Patch? Maybe that's an alternative?
But yeah, like, Carrie basically said that there may be a detour on the way or something. And so, a lot of people think the detour is going to be to Dragon Island, but we could go to the school. Technically.
We get to see Glinda. I'm looking forward to my call.
Yeah, I thought the detour was the land of darkness. Yeah. Like, I mean, a lot of people think it could be the Dragon Continent, but I don't know. That's kind of interesting because, like, a lot of people think that the show is going to end at Beacon. That's how they've seen the show ending, is that the show will end where it began, we'll be back at Beacon, and a lot of people were sort of saying, like, oh, like, RWBY's gonna end in, like, 3 volumes, like, it's just, they're gonna go back to Beacon, they're never gonna go to Vacuo, right? And so that concerns me a little, but I am sort of thinking now that maybe they will, you know, go on a detour.
That's true.
What do you mean?
I think that, well, I mean, I think
it's not true that we won't go to Vacuo?
I don't think we'll go back. I think we will go back to Vacuo. I think it's more likely to do a different detour, maybe in a different part of Anima or a different part of Solitas.
I mean, we could go to the Dark Continent, like the chat saying.
It kind of makes sense that, like, you would go, maybe they would pass, like, outside Vale? Like, where's Patch?
I don't know.
Patch is, like, to the west.
Hunter has Raven on the brain. I'm trying to be where else can they go? Because
it makes sense, because then the walk is relatively straightforward to get to Vacuo. Because they're on the same continent.
They would be on the same continent. Yeah, you're right.
I'm just saying, because I feel like it makes a lot of sense to bookend everything.
But yeah, I don't want the show to end yet, sis. Like, I want them to go to Vacuum, because I feel like that after Atlas, if Atlas is almost done, I feel like we got a good 2 seasons as a detour, good 2 seasons in Vacuum. Like, I feel like RWBY could go up to, like, season 14 or 15.
Well,
I feel like it's not, because a lot of people are like, if they go to Beacon, the show is ending. And I'm just like, but it's not.
I've maybe 3rd time's the charm, who knows?
Yeah, 3 times would sort of be nice, because then they'd be at Beacon in the first, in the middle, and then at the end.
Yeah, I've also heard a while back, a long time ago, that they said about 14 to 15 seasons.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be surprised that it has grown since then, but that does kind of pan out when you consider they typically have
Dragon Island as a choice.
Yes.
I do think that that's nice. But yeah, I sort of like, because Carrie said that we're going on a detour and now we're talking about the beacon relic, I'm sort of like, Raven is in Mistral, not Vale, but she can go to Taiyang, right? So that's the whole thing.
And the last time we saw her, she was in Patch.
Yeah. Yeah, use some means of deception to hide its location differently than the others.
So a really old theory was that his cane was the relic.
Yeah.
They said that wasn't true. But it's important, so maybe that's the way you can find. Yeah. Like it's the magic sesame key. But then again, like maybe it's a key to the vault, to the door, to the...
Yeah, so it's the key to the area, to the vault that needs the maiden. So you're saying
or maybe not a key.
Key relic, basically.
Or maybe if you stand on Beacon's highest tower and you put it in the sunlight, it shoots out like a beam of light.
I can see that,
like the Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Like a Kingdom Hearts Keyblade.
Oh my god, yeah, something like that. I imagine something like that.
So yeah, I was going to tell you guys something I totally forgot.
Oh
so the fairy tale book. Let's talk about that for a minute. So I don't want to get into it too much, but there is a fairy tale called The Crown, the King, and the Widow, and it's heavily implied that the crown in that fairy tale is at least referencing the crown of choice. It may not necessarily actually be the crown of choice. Well, okay,
or
so
is it in
the story about the king, the relic of choice is in that's the beacon one. That's the beacon school. So the relic of choice is in the book. We don't know 100% whether it's a true story or not, or they just knew of the object to incorporate it in a fairy. You understand what I mean? Like the people in the world of Remnant, was this a true story in one of Ozpin's lives, or was this just a fictional story that used the relic like as a magical item for the sake of a fun fairy tale? I think that that was one of Ozpin's lives, and here's why. The king sees something that terrifies him so much that he turns pale and he freaks the fuck out. And the way that I was thinking about it was, like, what would make a king freak out to that level? What could be so damaging that he would feel like he would just lose his, like, fucking sanity, right? And so it seems like each individual person has a different vision that applies to them. And so my whole theory with the Crown of Choice was that the relic showed the king the Great War, and that would be something that would shock a king severely, because he has to make a choice, and he's at a crossroads, and the crossroads could be siding with Vale or joining Atlas and Mistral to pillage Vacuo, right? Because that was the whole thing during the Great War, is that Vale sided with Vacuo. And so, no, the Relic of Choice doesn't control people. It shows you a crossroads. It shows you a choice that you will have to make in these sort of different routes. It doesn't show you the answer, but it shows you an important choice in your life.
So kind of like how Jin couldn't answer the future, the Relic of Choice can kind of answer the future?
So like one of the examples is like the widow puts it on her head and she sees the king asking her to marry him. That's like the big thing at the end of the story, is that
it's like a romance
proposes, right? And that's the big choice for her. But for the king, it's left kind of vague. And so what I'm sort of thinking, if it shows you a choice that you have to make, a big choice for a king would be the bloodshed of a great world war. That would freak him out enough. So I think that maybe it is a true story, and the Relic of Choice in that story was the actual Relic of Choice. It wasn't just for the fairy tale, right?
Someone pointed out that Glinda has a crown on her jacket.
Yeah, and so a lot of people have theorized, like, oh, Glinda's the personification of the Relic of Choice. I don't know how well that fits, just because, like, Jin is blue and Glinda's a normal-ass person. Yeah. But yeah, I don't really know, but I thought that whole idea was interesting, because what if it's not under the school? What if it's under the original castle of the King of Vale? And what if that's in a different location?
Maybe there's they already talked about how there was like major catacombs in the basement. So maybe in those catacombs it's like a map to it. But presumably Salem sent people to sneak through the catacombs.
And they haven't found it, right?
Yes.
So yeah. But yeah, I think that's really interesting that the Relic of Choice and all that stuff is happening.
I also like how like weirdly like maternal Salem is. Like she's petting her dog and she's like smiley all the time.
Because I do think that I don't know. I do think that Salem could take a liking to Oscar in terms of maternal instinct. In terms of Oscar is like a kid.
Listen,
you know
I understand
I mean?
have to kill him, but he is
And so
boy.
I feel like
He is
that
baby.
working relationship thing, they could work together, right? And so how about something easier then? So I like it. She gets, that's the thing, is that there's like a psychological trick where you ask someone for a big favor, and then when they say no, you ask them for a little one, so the little one seems more reasonable in comparison. So if I'm like, Hunter, like,
I'm literally going over in my head, like, okay, when have you done that on me?
Okay, if I'm like, Hunter, like, could you bring me, like, a giant, like, gingerbread house from Disneyland or something? And Hunter's like, no, that doesn't sound reasonable. I could be like, well, how about you make me a small packet of gingerbread cookies instead, right? And Hunter may be like, oh, well, that's more reasonable than the first option, so I'll pick the second. So this is some interesting, like, real-world psychological warfare with Salem, is that Salem asks the hard question first to make Oscar more agreeable to the follow-up question, right? And so I like how she calls it a password because, like, you know, Salem's not a boomer. She's very technologically savvy. She doesn't see it as, like,
Password has always been a term.
So the password's Jin, in case we forgot, right? And so I like how Oscar, he looks down and then he looks up, which is a signal for lying, and she's able to
even with
see
her
that, right? Even with her back turned, she knows he's lying, right?
So this
like,
is
she
like
knows him well,
arguably
right?
the most shocking thing to happen in the episode. She uses her magic.
Yeah.
I for some reason I keep on forgetting
this
that
is
she's
the
magical.
original magic from the swirly things
Yes.
that the God of Darkness gave everyone in the old world, right? She can use the lamp to answer the first question. Yeah, so that's what I think that's what she wants to do. She wants to ask the lamp, where the fuck is the relic of choice, right? That's what she wants to ask it. Where's the beacon relic? And so it's like it's an easier request mentally to just say it's Jin and let her do the rest, right? And so
This is
like, I love the rainbow, right?
Yes.
Because we sort of see darkness as
It's
like,
pretty torturous.
darkness, like red, like, right? But this is like rainbow,
like the magic
beautiful
is so
magic.
gorgeous.
Like, you remember that the magic was a gorgeous thing given from the gods. And magic, though beautiful, can be used for good and evil. Now, this was fucking hilarious. Just to see the I don't know if intentional
I did a good
or
thing.
unintentional, but the hound just sitting there and being like just watching the whole time. Like, I thought that was so funny how they cut to the hound and the hound just doesn't
care. The hound
care.
looks like he's waiting for like the owner to say it's okay to eat.
Yeah.
I like how her eyes go when she uses her magic.
Still amazing and awesome you guys are. Thank you, Soul Killer, for the $10 super chat.
I also like how I forget who's the voice actor for Oscar.
Aaron Dukeman?
Yeah, Dukeman does an amazing job for those screams. I was like, no, I'm sorry, that's not acting. You were like, someone put like screws in your kneecaps.
Yeah,
how you got
basically,
that.
right?
Because it was just so distressing.
It's
and the
so
contrast between how beautiful and pretty.
He sold that
magic,
agony. Yep, he did. He really did.
I fully expect. Also, there's just the bug, a grim bug, always on her ring.
Yeah, that's her ring, right?
I know. So I feel like we might see that.
Maybe, because that's like the bug that Cinder had in Volume 3 a little bit, right? So I think it's interesting that at first, like, Oscar seems to like the first time like let Salem touch him, but now he's inching away because he knows what she's capable of. So it's like a fear response, like he's flinching this time, right?
It's more of that maternal thing. You missed the line where it was just like, you lied to me again.
Yeah, lies come out of you so easily. And then she says, like-minded souls indeed, right? So she knows how his thing works, right? It's like-minded soul. But like, look at her face.
It's like she's so sweet.
Yeah.
And yet so horrible.
And so it's funny because it's like, yeah, you're just like Ozpin. You're a fucking liar. Right? Also, I think it's interesting. I know this is like so random, but she doesn't have any lines going down her chest, and I'm not sure why.
It almost looks like they go from her back.
Yeah, maybe they come out.
Maybe they're
because maybe that's the way that she fell into the Grim Pool, was back first. I don't remember.
Maybe. Yeah.
Either way, I'll finally have the relic. Yep. And so, I won't tell you anything. That's my Oscar voice. Right? And so I like that she doesn't have like an evil line there or anything. She's not like, oh, you will. Like, she doesn't say
It's very quiet.
anything.
It's like, all she says is, As if to be like, okay, we'll see about that.
Yeah, we'll see about, like, that's what that line says. Like, she says so much with just a because the tone of the is, okay, like, we'll see. We'll see if you're saying that later when I check back on you, right? Like, that's the tone of her line. But she didn't need to say something like, mwahaha, evil,
it's subtle.
And stuff.
Salem's always a very, despite someone who looks like that, she's a very subtle character, and I like that.
And I really like that. And so I feel like that was fun, because she could have been like, oh, well,
I know,
Hazel will
like,
change your mind. Right? And that would have been fine, too. But I love the subtlety that they're able to write for Salem.
I also
She's just like
that Hazel was just right outside the door. Just fucking raring to go.
When can we do this, Ralph?
So she's like, they went on the PA system. Hazel, I'm gonna need you to beat the shit out of a 14-year-old now.
Yeah.
He doesn't say anything. He just walks
up, how the Hound
punches.
drops him. The Hound is just like, my work here's done.
It's like, okay, other man's brutalizing the chew toy now.
Yeah. And
it's no talk. He's just.
I loved this, right? Because he said that was for Haven because he got fucking impaled, right, by Weiss. And then he says everything that follows is for my sister, and I really liked that. People are saying that Hazel is now unredeemable. I don't know, maybe a little. I do like his ponytail though, at the very least. But you guys again should check out the Patreon to see the reaction early, or you can become a YouTube membership member right here in the chat and like click the membership button if you guys are watching this right now and all that stuff. I was so happy that I got this right, because I predicted like everything like down to this happening. Is that I said, okay, you guys need to see my reaction. Hunter is like crying, like Hunter's like fucking freaking out
because a child is getting the shit
because
kicked out of him. I'm having like real emotional issues with this, and you're like, yay, I was right.
I had this whole thing that Oscar is going to because we had a video. We had a video, and it was, what is Hazel going to do this volume with like Emerald and Mercury and stuff, and I was like, Hazel is going to stay there and wait for Oscar to be delivered to Salem, because Hazel's job is going to be torturing Oscar. And I said in that video, go check it, I said in that video, like, it wouldn't make sense for Hazel to go anywhere, because what Hazel wants is coming to him, and Salem likes to appease everyone, right? The only reason why Hazel is working with Salem is to get revenge on Ozpin. So it wouldn't make sense for Hazel to be sent out to go fuck with Mantle or something. It makes sense for Hazel to just stay put and wait for Ozpin, because Salem will give Hazel what he wants in exchange for sort of doing her dirty work, and that is all of the stuff going on with beating down Oscar, right? And so I predicted that like to the letter, and I'm very happy and pleased with myself. A little too pleased during my reaction, which again is up for the patrons if you guys want to see it. So yeah, I do like this scene because it's interesting to see the insides of the whale, and it's very Kingdom Hearts Monstro type energy, right? And so yes, Cinder's like, what the fuck? They don't even look scared or surprised anymore. Neo's like, I've seen some shit.
It's like the 18th freaky shit I've seen all day. Don't care.
So
I'm in a whale. Nothing surprises me anymore.
An experiment, and so far I'm pleased with the results. And so I think that even though I do like my Summer is a Hound theory, or Summer is the Hound, I think that because she's talking about this recently, it must have been a more, I don't know, like unless she had Summer alive the entire time and only just now turned Summer into a Grimm, I feel like that this is more pointing towards someone like Lionheart or something like that, right? Because she says, like, you know, like, oh, it's just an experiment I made. So far, I'm pleased with the results. But, like, Summer has been dead for, like, 17 years. So it's possible she could have kept Summer and then recently turned her into the Hound. And that could be a big thing for RWBY, is that, like, my mom was alive all this time, but now I'm too late and she's a Grimm. But it could also point more to Lionheart, just because Lionheart is the more recent death.
I also think it works well for Cinder, because Cinder, like, all Salem wants out of her people are pawns, are dogs, basically. And so she literally turned Lionheart into a dog, a hound. And maybe she's realizing that, like, oh, that's what she's gonna do to me.
People are saying it's Roman. I don't know.
I don't know about Roman.
I feel like Salem didn't know about Roman though, so why pick Roman specific? Like
I feel like Lionheart is the better option.
Yeah, I feel like Lionheart just makes more sense, because like people are like, it's Adam, it's Roman, and I do like the Roman idea. Like, I don't know, we've mentioned this before, but like, listen, Phoenix Knight can convince me of anything, and he's really hooked on the idea that the Hound is Roman to fit into Neo's like character development. But the thing about Roman is like Salem didn't know about Roman. Roman was just one of Cinder's assets. So why would she would have to go to the school, collect Roman, and bring him back here. And so I don't know how that would all work. I think it's Lionheart because of the way he died. Yeah, so that's what I was sort of thinking of, right? She knew about him, but they never met. Yeah,
we did talk about that in the theory video we did.
Adam's not alive, guys.
I think it works.
Cut it out.
I think it works well for Cinder's story. I do believe. I'm starting to believe we're gonna get a Cinder redemption.
Because I do think I like the idea. Hazel's sister has been dead too long, guys. I feel like that I feel like it would be interesting for it to be Summer, and then just recently Salem turned Summer into the Hound. I feel like that works. I feel like Lionheart works, and I feel like Roman works, but they would really need to explain it. Because I'm like, how the fuck did she get Roman?
I think Lionheart is the best option now for Cinder. But I think that he is right.
The Grimm did eat Roman, though.
Yeah.
I guess, but like, what? The Grimm ate Roman and pooped this out? Like, that doesn't, you know what I mean? Like, she would have to actually experiment on someone, so I don't know. I do like the Summer Rose idea,
It's possible. It's possible. Like, I think it's a possibility. I mean, it's also a possibility that it's just an amalgamation of a bunch of different Grimms, like the most. But
I do like the Summer idea. I think the Summer idea is still alive, guys. Don't give up on it, right?
Although I'm beginning to like it.
I love this. Okay, do you hear that? She thinks she wants. That's how she says, like this pouty, like she wants.
Why does it look so puffy in the light? Oh, it's
because
goop.
It's goop. It's constantly
I just
moving,
noticed
Hunter.
that. Okay.
So yeah. I really, really like that, right? I like, she thinks she wants, like...
That reminds me of the Cinder line of Don't Think, Obey.
Yeah.
When she told to Emerald.
Like,
so
how? Stop thinking, Cinder! Shut the fuck up! That's
so maybe
right?
Cinder's beginning to realize that, like, Salem's just a pawn for me.
As if she's done something that warrants me caring about either of those things, right? So it's a great callback to her telling Emerald not to think. Like, stop thinking, Cinder. Shut up. Right? And so it's interesting because, like, she brought her the relic, but for some reason that's not enough. And so I wonder if Salem knows that Neo did most of the work getting the relic and that Cinder has not proved herself. Because I think that Cinder thought as long as she got Salem the relic, she would be back in her good graces. But I don't think that that's in any way, shape, or form true. Right? I think that, like, Cinder is still basically in the same position she was before. Without the maiden powers, the vault means nothing. Let me claim it for you, right? I will tell you when and where you're needed. And so, I like how the Grimm actually scares Cinder, but Neo doesn't seem to care. She seems a little surprised, but she doesn't seem to care, right? And so I like this. I'd like to think I have a great deal of patience over many years, many years walking around it, but I do hate repeating myself. Shut the fuck up. That's a canon line. You will remain here. Is that clear? So yeah, so a lot of people think that Salem is supposed to be Cinder's fairy godmother, but I'm sort of now thinking that she is the evil stepmother and then Emerald and Neo are her stepsisters in this dynamic, and that Cinder is still Cinderella. I don't know if that's going to be the case, but I feel like we definitely need to, we need Cinder's backstory soon. And so I like this. So we get that without you, I am nothing again, which I don't think she's ever said before until this volume. So that's sort of interesting.
It is. I think they're building it up to be like a thing like they all
from
say.
her backstory, right?
Yeah. I do like it. It's a shame it hasn't been in
Neo. Neo's just like raised eyebrow.
Really? Like you're not going to follow those instructions, are you?
No. Because he says, I know what she said. So that's filling up Neo's dialogue. Neo's like, did you not listen to her? Why are we leaving? And Cinder's like, I know what she said. So I like that with her body language. Neo says the other half of the imagined dialogue. Like, I imagine in the writer's room, they probably write dialogue for Neo and then just erase it and have Cinder respond through the body language, right? Or like have Neo do the dialogue through her body language. And so it's like, I know what she said, but I just want to check something. We'll be back before anyone realizes. And Neo's like, oh, okay.
I love this little Mary Poppins float thing she does here.
I want to see if any... Yeah, this is fun. fucking
That's
amazing. Like, I love Neo. Neo is my favorite character, I think. I know that that's a big, like, oh, well, Neo's, like, so overrated. Neo's not overrated. Neo is the fucking goat. Like, I love this. And so she's like, I want to see if anything's going on at Amity Coliseum.
Because it's like, how do we give her personality? She's just walking. Like, well, let's have her float.
And so I feel like it'll be interesting. If Cinder does go to Amity, Penny's gonna be there with Pietro and Maria.
Yes.
But Penny's also gonna get hacked, right? And so I feel like there's a lot of things going on here. Is that maybe there will be a rematch, but instead of Penny controlling herself, Ironwood will be controlling her through the system. The other thing to keep in mind, sorry to interrupt you, Hunter, but I'm not done, is that Cinder could kill Maria and Pietro, and that fills in with our theory that they could die, because Cinder likes to hurt people, and what would hurt Penny? Making her a fucking orphan, because Maria and Pietro are up there, right? And so there's a lot of things coming into play, is that maybe she goes up to Amity and Penny's not there because Penny's been hacked, and then Cinder kills Pietro and Maria just for shits and giggles. Or Penny is there, she tries to defend against, like, Cinder, but Cinder kills Pietro and Maria anyway, and then she gets called back to Ironwood and she goes because she realizes that she's not strong enough on her own and she's already lost everything, right? I feel like that could be interesting. Now you can continue.
I just, when we did that video, either last week or the week before that, where we had the idea of Penny being hacked and destroying the building, I recall in one of our theories that Cinder was present, but I don't remember precisely what it is she did. Yeah. So part of me thinks that we should almost look at that, but yeah, no, I more or less agree with you.
Cinder likes to kill people and gloat at old ladies. It's true. So
maybe it's a return fight. Does she know that that's where Penny is?
No, and so that would be the surprise, is that she wants to see what's going on at Amity Coliseum, and that's where Penny is going. So it's two options. Penny's there, or Penny's not there, because Ironwood has already controlled her and is maneuvering her back, right? And so I feel like that we could get a rematch or something, and I feel, I think what will happen is Neo will pose as Cinder while Emerald and... Wait. Neo will pose as Cinder. They're not talking about the Coliseum. Neo will pose as Cinder while Emerald and Cinder go find Penny. That would kind of be interesting, is that Neo just turns into Cinder and sits here. And Salem's like, honey, I know you're sad about not going out, but you know what I mean?
You want to play Scrabble?
Like, are the silent treatment Cinder, and then it's just Neo, right? Neo's just under there. But I feel like that, I don't know, I feel like it would be interesting for Neo and Emerald to go, because both of them have such an interesting semblance. But at first, what I thought that you were trying to say, Ebony, was that Neo will transform into Penny and trick Maria and Pietro somehow, which would kind of be cool. But I think it would be cool.
But Neo can't talk, and I feel like that would be obvious.
That would be a big giveaway, right? And so I feel like, I don't know, I want either one of two things. Cinder goes up there and kills Maria and Pietro because Penny has already been hacked, or Penny tries to defend, like, Penny and Cinder have a small rematch, and Ironwood is, like, in the middle of, like, trying to take over control and stuff like that. Wouldn't Salem notice the Grimarm isn't real if Neo disguises herself? Well, maybe that's the thing, is that, like, Cinder really thought she could outsmart me, right?
Alternatively, what if, going back to the idea of Cinder feeling like she can't win and feeling like a fuck-up, what if Neo is hacked, she has nothing to do with it? You mean Penny? Sorry, Penny is hacked, can't hack Neo, unhackable. Yeah. Penny is hacked, all the other stuff we talked about, like the destruction of the Coliseum, the return back to Atlas, the opening up, all that happens, or starts to happen without Cinder, and Cinder's like, my god, I lost again. That could kind of maybe egg her on a little more. But
I'm definitely interested, because Amity Coliseum's an interesting choice, and so Salem doesn't know those children like I do. They wouldn't just abandon their misguided attempt to save the world. And so I really like it. I like...
Shot from the...
trailer right here. Yes. And so, I feel like that would be cool if... I like the idea of a Cinder and Penny rematch when Cinder and when Penny is hacked. Because Ironwood thinks that he can do better somehow, right? But I also like the idea of Cinder just going up there and killing Maria and Pietro.
I also like how unimpressed Neo is.
Neo's just like... I feel like that she's looking at the Grim in the sky and she's like, if she doesn't want to come, I'll come. And Neo's just like, oh,
I love
the simp is back.
I feel like the comedic timing of the pan away from Neo is pretty good. I also like how Neo doesn't appear to like totally like Emerald either.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like they might learn to love Min shippers. Anybody?
So she's like, I can help. I won't tell anyone.
Oh, we get a better look at her like legs, her pants, and her new outfit.
Yeah, her
like
bell
flare.
bottoms or whatever's going on there. But yeah, people think the Hound is Tyrion. Guys, did we not see?
Yeah,
we
Tyrion
did. We
is
only
right
saw
there.
Tyrion a couple episodes ago. I'm sure he's fine. But yeah, like I don't know, guys. I'm just really attached to the idea about everything. Like Penny is going to Amity, Cinder's going to Amity, and everything is going wrong. Is basically what I'm thinking. And so let's talk about this. So yeah, it's fucking snowing, all right.
Yeah,
it's
that's
definitely
one thing
fucking
that
snowing, right? And so yeah, you're right, Ren. I did cheat my way into Beacon, and I'm glad I had people around me to help see that I was bigger than that mistake. And so obviously that's referring to Pyrrha.
Oh, interesting
right?
how in the background that there's. I wonder if they'll like be able to like
come into play later, maybe
or like maybe
themselves.
disguise themselves and get into Atlas. I don't know.
Maybe.
Possibility.
I don't know. But yeah, you don't have to force yourself to be strong. The more you hide from what you're feeling, the more alone you're going to feel. And we already talked about that a little.
Yeah,
very nice line.
It's kind of the reverse, or it's like.
Yeah, it's just a different kind of storyline for Mulan, because like men, it's like you can't cry, you can't feel, you can't feel emotional. Like being emotional is for girl, like those stupid things, right? And so I feel like, what about Mercury? Mercury. No one cares about Mercury in this house.
John's just such a sweet boy. I just love him so much.
I feel like John's advice makes sense. Like let Nora in, like how I let in Pyrrha, and then Ren just leaves.
We can help you
again. And so okay, so this is the controversial. This is the controversial fucking scene. So. For what it's worth, I'm sorry he said that to you. I know you had to work hard to get here, John. And so I really like that. Like, we're all under a lot of stress right now. I used to push people away, too. And so I really like that because John did push Pyrrha away at first. And was like, I don't need everyone. All that stuff. Cardin's my best friend. So yeah, Yang was talking about Blake, not Ruby around this part. Well, that is the controversial part, okay?
So I have my own perspective on this.
Let's talk about this. So I got comments about this, like, in the live stream, but I'm also sure that people are complaining on Twitter. So people are like, have this big thing for the past 2 volumes of that Yang is a terrible sister and doesn't care about Ruby anymore, and that the writers are making Yang not care about Ruby anymore, and people are sort of citing this scene, like, why does Yang care more about Blake's opinion than her sister's opinion, right? Because in this scene, like, Jean assumes Ruby, but Yang is actually talking about Blake, right? We can all, we all can figure that out, that she is talking about Blake here.
Well, let's get to the actual line.
We're kind of complaining that, like, why would Yang care more about Blake than Ruby? And so people are like, they're really trying to force this Blake and Ruby stuff. But, like, she knows her sister isn't mad at her. Exactly, Howard. That's basically what I'm gonna say.
Like, she's more confident in her relationship with her sister than she is in her relationship with Blake.
Because here's the thing, right? What am I trying to say? So Ruby's your sister. She's always going to love you, even if you disagree with each other, right? And so that's the thing, is that what Jean is saying, Yang already knows. So I don't understand how some of y'all are going to be so dumb to basically say, oh, this is proof that Yang doesn't care about Ruby. Like, no, she is already confident enough in her bond with her sister that family means unconditional love. That family means that, like, that you love your child unconditionally. You love your siblings unconditionally and all that stuff. Yang knows her sister. She's confident in her relationship with her sister, but she's not confident in her relationship with her partner. Because I know that the unconditional love thing doesn't happen with all family relationships, but it does happen between Yang and Ruby. But partners, like, if you're dating someone, that person, especially newly dating, if you're not married and you're not
even there yet,
right?
Really.
Not even there yet.
We didn't pop that bumblebee kiss.
The person you're dating has no obligation to love you unconditionally. And so that is the problem, is that they are, like, Yang is worried that Blake will be disappointed in her and that will affect their relationship. It's not about her prioritizing, like, Blake and not caring about RWBY anymore. She's prioritizing Blake because she knows that her and RWBY will be like this no matter what. They're sisters. Like, inherently, your partner is different. You see that
because, like, in Volume 5, there was a lot less angst about RWBY and Yang meeting again compared to Yang and
RWBY
Blake.
is going to love Yang no matter what, and she knows that. And she doesn't know if Blake will love her no matter what. That's the whole thing. So I feel like that people are being a little stupid, okay? And I'm not trying to insult anyone. I get why people's first thought would be like that, but think about what John said. Really, like, think about what John really said. RWBY's your sister. She's gonna love you no matter what. And, like, John has, you know, his own experience having 6 sisters or 9 sisters. 7 sisters, however many sisters John has. And so I feel like that it's, I don't know, people are going to be so mad, like, oh, this is proof that Yang doesn't care about RWBY anymore, because some people in the community have already been saying that since Volume 7, that Yang just doesn't give a fuck about RWBY, but it's because Yang is more confident in her relationship with RWBY that she's worried about Blake. Because Blake is the one that easily can fall apart, right? You're not even dating yet. She has no obligation to you, right? Understatement of the year, Cal. So yeah, I'm sure it's gonna be a big thing throughout the week, but that just really bothered me. Like, I guess seeing stuff on Twitter and, like, other places about, like, oh, Yang doesn't care about RWBY anymore. Right? Like, clearly, it makes sense why she's not worried about RWBY, guys. It makes sense she's not worried about RWBY for the exact reason that you guys think she doesn't care about RWBY. Does that make sense? Like, and so it's very frustrating because it's like, oh, Yang doesn't care about RWBY anymore, so she's talking about Blake, when really it's the opposite. Yang, like, knows that they care so much for each other that she's not talking about RWBY, right? It's when you have a good relationship with someone, you don't necessarily need to think about it as maybe the strained relationships you have with other people, right? Calxiyn, big brain.
Yeah, I mean, I absolutely agree with you. I think it's reasonable that some people would come to that conclusion first time around.
Yeah, first time around, of course.
But even at the time, I'm like, oh, I didn't consider that. Yeah. Then I considered it more, and now I agree with you.
I also think, now that I said it.
Can we also talk about how cute it is that she looked?
There's no excuse.
She looked at the she looked at that little component. It was purple, and it reminded her of Blake. I just think that's really cute.
Yeah, a lot of people think that because, like, oh, she was fixing the bike and she was, yeah. Cal, let's be honest, when it comes, oh, wait, that's not the comment I was trying to read. Somebody said something about, remember that in Season 5, she chose to find her own sister. Yeah, so she chose RWBY over Blake in that instance. Yeah. She went to her mom to find her sister, not for her mom at all, right? And so that's the other thing. like, you guys forget that Yang likes RWBY, and I don't know why you're forgetting
and I think that
they're sisters and that they're okay.
And Yang's, like, they have an understanding that they're not divided. They just want the same goal. We're just doing different things to that goal.
You're always gonna be siblings, but, like, you're not always going to be dating. You know, like, you're not always gonna, like, the
relationship is less you're less confident. It's less, what's the word I'm looking for? Established.
People don't like Yang having an actual character.
I guess that's also
that's
true.
How I sort of feel about it. Like, they're giving Yang an actual, like, I don't know, they're giving Yang, like, an arc here and stuff like that, but people seem to be rejecting the arc because of the Bumblebee propaganda, I guess you could say, that they think that, oh, Bumblebee is ruining RWBY and Yang's relationship, which is stupid. And so I agree, Howell. I think that if this was, I feel like that if this was Yang and a male character, people would be like, oh, well, it makes sense that, you know, like, she's thinking about Jean's opinion more than RWBY in this. Like, I feel like if it was that, but because, for some reason, people see Blake as a threat to RWBY's sisterhood, and I feel like it is because they're both women, and I feel like that's so weird, that people think that Blake is somehow a threat to RWBY and Yang's sister relationship, but I feel like they wouldn't necessarily see that if, you know, Blake was a guy. And so it's a little weird stuff going on, but yeah, I don't know, but yeah.
I do think that when it comes to gay ships, or just queer characters in general, like, there's a higher standard by chuds on the internet a lot of the time. And I mean, you can have issues with the semen and not necessarily be a chud, but I feel like a not insignificant
I'm just reading through the chat.
number of people who are
but
desperately
like
against
Yang's
that.
relationship with Blake is like literally brand new. She knows what to expect from RWBY, right? I mean, I think that Yang's arc, in a sense, isn't just about her relationship with Blake, though. Like, part of it is, but I think the other side of it is also, like, you know, that her and RWBY are fighting at the same time. You know what I mean? Just because she knows that RWBY will still love her doesn't mean that the fighting doesn't hurt her feelings. You know what I mean? Because that was the whole thing at the very beginning of the volume, was her and RWBY were arguing, right? And so I feel like that was the whole thing, but...
So, yeah, no, I don't think this should necessarily be controversial.
But I feel like that we understand it and nobody else does.
Well, because we're the big brain people, which is why we have a YouTube channel.
But yeah, I'm just like...
I wonder if Yang's right thigh is colder than the rest of her. That just seems like an odd thing to be doing right now.
Yeah. Yang's abandonment issues, probably why she's worried about Blake. Yeah. Bumblebee ruined RWBY, make RWBY great again. Yeah, that's such a bad take, and that's what really bothers me. But yeah, I think that that's totally true, is that Yang has some mommy issues, and she knows that RWBY would never abandon her, but I feel like that a lot of the time we are afraid that what our parents did to us, or even other traumatic things in our lives, right? You know, like Raven left the family and basically like ran away from her responsibilities as a mother and stuff. And so I feel like that we've said this for the past couple volumes, what Raven did is what Yang is afraid that Blake may do one day still. Even though they've come a long way, there's still going to be that inherent fear, because that sort of traumatic stuff, like your parents getting a divorce, like I feel like that for a lot of people, if your parents got a divorce, you are paranoid about your relationships to a further extent because you've seen it. You know what I mean? Like, I probably have a different experience than Hunter's parents that are still together. I probably have a different outlook on relationships because my mom and my dad got divorced, right? It's sort of one of those things, is that because of what happened to Yang, she is worried about that with Blake.
Ironically, I think I'm more cynical about relationships than you are.
Well, I feel like that's the opposite too, is that, you know, you want to go, oh, well, I won't be like that when I get married. I'd never get divorced. Like, I feel like it can go either way, right?
True.
You can sort of have an idealism as well, right? Like, sometimes, like, people become really idealistic about the future based on, like, things that have happened, or they become really cynical. And I think with me, I went the idealism, because that's sort of my personality, right?
Whereas I almost view my parents having, like, a long-lasting, happy relationship as, like, an abnormality.
Ultimate technique of common sense. Oh gosh. Okay, but yeah. I don't know why it says brute. I think they did mean brood, but they just got it wrong. So I can't.
Because he is brooding. That's interesting. He's doing the same thing he did in the opening.
Yeah, with the Nora pedal. It's like he's thinking. It's like Nora's just a little. You know how you have the angel and the devil on your shoulder? He's just like Nora.
I like to also imagine he's sitting in that thing because his ass hurts so bad from slamming against the rock. He's icing it right now.
Yeah.
Then also something, it zooms
his ass must be fucking freezing. Like, why are you doing this to yourself,
His
Ren?
booty got bruised.
Ren is self-destructive.
He's not anyways, so in the opening we saw that the ice cracked and everyone assumed, oh, it's a metaphor.
Yeah.
Nope. What do
the
you
ice
think
is actually
in there?
cracking. Okay, so let's talk about this for a minute. Let's talk about the ice. So here's the
you
thing
were
about
suggesting
the ice.
dinosaurs.
I read online a couple weeks ago that like in some place in Russia, this bacteria has like thawed out of the ice, and the worms that were in the ice and the bacteria or the worms or whatever they are from like 1000 AD or some you know what I mean?
Sure.
Like literally hundreds of years old are like moving, and the worms are alive because they've been thawed. And now I guess I don't understand. Like, worms aren't that complicated, I guess, but like the worms have been reanimated, right? You guys are saying shark as like Shark Grim from that photo. I
just feel like it can't just be a shark. Like, it needs to be like a shark with arms and legs.
I feel like it has to be a big thing. Theory is that it's the apathy, sulfur fish. I don't know about the sulfur fish, because people are saying it could be the Grim from the contest, but I don't know.
Something that would attack...
I think it needs to be big Ice Age energy. Like a giant prehistoric mammoth is like crawling out
Well,
of
we've
the
already
ice, you
kind
know?
of seen the mammoths before.
But like something like that, Hunter. I don't know what
I'm trying to
exactly.
think of other, like, I could think of just a giant T-Rex and it attacks Mantle. Like, you know, Monstro is going to get Atlas,
Yeah.
this is going to get Mantle. It could be like a different type of Leviathan.
Giant flying shark. Okay, that all.
Well, that was my suggestion. That it would be a
yes.
shark with just different things.
Well,
Maybe
you
like
said
a dragon.
arms. I'll take
Arms.
flying shark.
Okay,
Like not
it can
even a
have
shark
wings.
with arms and legs. It'll just have wings and then just fly
Sure.
around.
Maybe like it could look like the Loch Ness monster.
Yes,
like
that's what I
neck.
kind of want. I want a Loch Ness monster grim that has been under. Ooh, what about a Yeti? Like Bigfoot.
Oh!
Like what if out of the ground just a
Yeti
giant
would make sense.
humanoid grim octopus? I like octopus.
I thought Kraken, that could be a possibility.
Yeah,
I think my
Kraken.
favorite right now is Yeti. Big
yeah,
Yeti
I like
brand.
Bigfoot. Just Bigfoot like coming out of the water.
But also, do you think that maybe if there's a Bigfoot that comes out here, Penny will see it, be like, gotta go for that,
yeah,
goes for
maybe.
it, and doesn't
Giant
go to
penguin grim. Okay.
Amity. Oh my god, giant penguin would
Imagine.
be... What about a giant seal? Maybe a polar bear?
But yeah, I kind of want something humanoid. I think that it would be
A humanoid
interesting
would
for
be
a
unique.
Yeti situation. You know? People are saying the Grim contest winner, but those sulfurfish were so tiny. So I don't know why they would be this big thing cracking
A
in the water.
chupacabra,
You know
a
what I mean?
mothman,
Also, so what
giant narwhal grim. I feel like if they do go with the Sasquatch,
do you
they
think
should give
it'll
it a
attack
narwhal
Mantle? I mean, I feel like
I
that
think
this would
Mantle.
be the volume. This would be Christmas Eve cliffhanger,
Yes.
if that makes sense. Before they go on break, we see the giant monster. I think that would be it. Sirens?
Some people are
Okay.
saying a megalodon is just a really big shark,
Yeah.
which is what sirens. That could be
Sirens.
interesting.
That'd be kind of cool. But yeah, I don't really have any
Cthulhu?
other.
Oh, Cthulhu would be really good. Cthulhu
Yeah.
comes from the ocean,
I
so
think-
that's humanoid, and it also has the tentacles.
I
think
approve
Cthulhu
of
would be
Cthulhu.
really good.
I don't think it would be
Polar bear,
the
have we mentioned that?
Grim from the contest because those Grim were really, really small.
No, I don't think it would
And
be
so I
that.
feel like that would be weird unless the sulfurfish can combine. Imagine it's just a tower of
Just a
tiny
giant
little
big
sulfur,
thing.
like a bunch of little gummy bears on top of each other, or
Yeah.
those markers that used to attach
Yeah.
at school, but it's just all sulfurfish. But I don't know. I want it to be something big and Yeti.
So yeah, I like
and
Cthulhu.
rawr,
I think
you know?
Cthulhu would be fun. I think
Yeah.
Penny would really
The
get
Beast
fucked up.
Titan. That's basically what I'm thinking of. Is the Beast Titan from Attack on Titan?
Yeah.
If anybody's watched
I also
it.
think that like if Ren has to fight it, like they could do some cool like Attack on Titan. He uses his
Yeah.
like, ropes flying up there.
Oh, I really like that. I really like that. Okay.
Some people are saying Leviathan. They could like just a different type of Leviathan. Looks a little maybe it'd be like a hammerhead shark.
I
Leviathan.
think a Titan. That sounds great.
I think so. Yeti, Titan, Leviathan, Cthulhu
Yeah.
is more or less our opinion.
So I think that that's basically it from us,
Mhm.
guys. If we do have anything else, we will talk about it in videos
Mhm.
that will be released on the channel this week. But yeah, I hope that you guys enjoyed the stream. You guys should check out the Patreon if you guys want to see our reaction early. It is up right now on Patreon. It is up for YouTube membership members. And so all you have to do is, I think if you're on the live stream page, there should be a button that says membership, or maybe it's the little money button. I'm not entirely sure, but people did become members during the last stream. So I know that there is a way. So click that button and then click the Royal Advisors tier, and then you'll be able to see our reaction that way, or you can see it on Patreon. It's up on Patreon, and every single week it's been up like really, really quickly. So if you guys want to see it right away, you guys can do that. But yeah, I don't think that there's anything else for us to talk about. I think that we're pretty much good, but you guys will see us throughout the week with any ideas, any galaxy brain ideas that we have. But yeah, you guys,
Our galaxy
you guys
brain isn't just
need
what you
to
saw in
see
this
our
stream.
reaction. Like, you guys
It's
need
really
to
good.
see it. Our reaction was like, our
It's
reaction
some really
was
good
so funny.
display of
So-
contrasts.
So yeah, I hope that you guys enjoyed, and we will see you guys in the next one. I was like, in a bit? Where are we going? In the next one.